Jennifer? Good. Haven't seen you in a long time.
I
I've been
know.
meaning to call you. I will.
Yeah, I know. We'll catch up.
Yeah, we will. We will. Good
I
to
will.
see you.
You too.
Hello.
I didn't know about, I didn't see that Wayne on that, your little emergency meeting you had to have.
Oh.
I didn't see that till the next day.
You couldn't have voted anyway.
No. I was gonna call you and tell you that something had to be done on that, because that's dragging out way.
Well, I think the meeting's tonight,
Huh?
the county meeting's tonight.
Correct, but I couldn't have it go any further.
You're buying it?
Yeah. But I set that money aside, it'll be 6 months in March.
Oh.
And the bank can't hold it anymore.
Oh.
And I'm worried interest rates are gonna go up. I wanted it done. He's been monkeying around that long with it.
Yeah, I mean, we had a quorum, so it worked out well, we got it done.
All he did was change a lot last year. Yeah, from the well.
Hi, Steve.
Please.
Another week, just under a week,
Monday,
Valentine's present.
that's right. To myself.
Is the other one completely healed?
Oh, yeah,
It is. Yeah. No pain at all.
none whatsoever. Makes the right one complain more.
Yes, everything in there is stuff you guys can take photos. I think I put the contract when you asked me to make copies of them.
Yep.
The maps. I can't remember all what's in there. You guys can have that. It's nothing on the agenda for tonight, but it's just. Or the puppies Steve.
Yeah. I got
Puppies.
sharp teeth. Yeah,
You
we
got
got,
puppies now?
yeah, we got two puppies. Two poodles.
You're a boy and a girl, right?
No,
Two boys?
two boys.
Horses the puppies, or donkeys the puppies.
Yeah, yeah, right. Right, that's the donkeys, the puppies. Black and red.
So can you still go to the horse donkeys?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she goes over there. Most Sunday mornings.
The dog names are Audie, right?
Audie and Bentley.
Bentley?
Audie and
That's my
Bentley.
daughter's horse's name.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
How we done?
Okay, it's another one, call it
Gentleman named Elwood,
Audie, like the Jetsons.
horse named Elwood. I don't know, is there an Elwood on the Jetsons?
Elroy. Elroy. on the
Elroy, I don't know.
Jetsons. Elroy, yeah.
I don't watch that stuff.
That's old. for me.
Yeah, it's like pretty old. Yeah.
That's why I was wondering if she would know, but Elwood, not Elroy.
It's Elwood.
Elwood. Joe's gonna appear via TV.
I did get, Jan did call me back today.
Oh, she did, good.
Yes. So I have a little information on that.
Okay, good.
I don't know, they be human trails again for a while.
Uh, I tried to cook stuff this week.
There are a lot of more.
Well, quite a lot,
Is there?
but it's run out pretty hard. too.
Oh,
Eat up pretty. They have.
They really, that's all of us. Anita,
Hello, how are you doing?
good, how are you?
Good, thanks.
And your meeting is tomorrow night,
Tomorrow night, we changed it to Wednesday nights now.
second Wednesday?
First Wednesday. But we have to have our plan commission meeting first. That's why it's a little late this month.
Yeah, tomorrow's the second Wednesday, isn't it?
We couldn't get our plan commission meeting.
Oh, so you are meeting tomorrow night?
Yeah.
Hi, Fred.
Hi, Wayne. Hey, we got separate tables.
So Wayne's idea, and I was originally gonna be next to Wayne, but then I had all this. So just have little tables. Yeah. One extra table. Hi.
I'm Deputy Barton for the day, okay?
Okay, thank you.
I'm knitting you a hat. You're knitting me a hat? Wow, I need a hat.
I know, that's why I'm making it for you.
Oh, thank you.
I hope we get it done by the time we have our meeting.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's
You're
here.
multi-talented.
I'll give you some.
Yeah, that's probably for a long time. Sure you won't hear tonight because he's got a meeting with. You're not signing it somewhere? Oh, there you go. Already seen it all. So. Here. Okay. Yeah, I'll call the Oregon Town Board meeting to order at 6:30 PM at 1138 Union Road, Oregon, Wisconsin. It's Tuesday, February 8th, 2022. Can I get roll call?
Kate.
Here.
Brett.
Here.
Wayne.
Here.
Arlen.
Here.
And Jason.
Thank you. Item 3, approval of minutes from last month.
So move.
A motion from Fred to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second from Kate. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries.
And I apologize, and I'm sorry, I just don't want to interrupt. I apologize. Something happened. That was a crazy meeting and the recording. I don't have that
Okay.
That was just par for the course for that.
It was a
That
bad
night, so-
connection.
All right.
And we didn't really have anything that was real serious that we discussed anyway. so.
Yeah.
4 is finance report and payment vouchers approval.
And we have December's report to, can you approve December's
Oh, let's
and
do
approve
December's first.
January's? Yes.
Move to approve December's financial report as presented.
Have a motion from Fred. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second from Arlen. Any further discussion? She beat him though. I'm sitting, I heard him first. so. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pose same sign, motion carried. The motion to approve the January vouchers. A motion from Arlen. For a second,
I'll second it.
second from Fred. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, by saying aye. Aye. Pose same sign, motion carries. Item 5, appearance by the Dane County.
Yeah.
Do we have to sign in here for the January, for the December payment vouchers or anything?
I can grab that. Yes, I'm gonna grab that. But actually,
That we
can
didn't-
can we also approve the January 2021 financials? We approved the December
January 2021 or 22?
22. I'm so sorry, January 2022.
We just did that.
We approved the vouchers.
Oh,
We approved the January voucher, or no, we approved the January. We need to approve the February vouchers. That makes sense. We need to, we approved. You said vouchers for January 2022. I think you meant January 2022 financial report.
okay, yep.
And then we need to approve the February vouchers, which are these right here, which are on page. I'll start on page 9, which is what you just signed. So page 9, 10.
The ones I just signed.
These ones, yeah, we need
These
to approve that one. Yeah, and let me grab the December ones that we didn't get, or January ones. that we
That we
didn't.
didn't do.
These are the January ones because we had a meeting.
So you want a motion to approve the
February. vouchers.
February vouchers?
Yes,
I get a motion to approve the February vouchers.
I'll make a motion to approve the February 2022 vouchers.
Yeah. Got a motion from Fred. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second from Kate. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, from saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pose same sign. Motion carries. Item 5, appearance by the Dane County Sheriff. I know you're not the one that's on my paperwork, so if you give us your name.
Superstar. Yep, so I'm Deputy Schneider. I'm the community deputy for Northern Dane, but I'm filling in for Barton today.
Okay,
He just sent me with a couple things. He said that he sent you guys the call for service statistics, so I'm hoping you all have those.
Yep.
Is there any questions on that? Oh, pretty self-explanatory. Okay, the other thing he wanted me to bring up to you guys.
oh, sorry, I'm just telling them page 19.
The other item, he said on Glenway Road, you guys had posted these speed limit signs. He wanted to know or recommended it maybe putting the orange signs, the flags over those to let people know that that speed limit had changed. Just a suggestion for you guys. I know he's been having us out there monitoring as much as possible, so I hope it's helping. If you guys notice much of a difference on your end,
haven't heard nothing.
that's good.
Maybe no news is good news.
All right, well, that's all I have on my end. Do you guys have anything for us?
So this check area, and I guess that's property.
Yes.
So are them calls that come in that ask you to have checked or?
So a lot of the check areas can be drawn by the deputy themselves. So if that's a park, if you guys have a park in the area, they can just pull that and then they're checking the park area.
Okay,
Typically, that's how those calls are. If it's something suspicious, it'll come in as suspicious vehicle or
Oh.
suspicious person.
okay.
Yeah, so most of the check properties are self-initiated calls.
That looks like we have some coverage. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you guys
Anybody got
have
any
anything
questions
else?
for her? Well, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys have a great day.
Have a good
Thanks for
night.
having me.
Item 6, public comments. Anybody in the audience have anything to bring forward that is not on the agenda? Anything that is not on the agenda?
I do have a question.
Yes, ma'am. Please state your name and address, please.
Diana Lutz Gams, 6237 Oak Hollow Drive. There are multiple speed limits on Sun Valley Parkway going into the curve. You put up, it was great, you put up the 35-mile-an-hour sign, but going up there, there's a 25-mile-an-hour sign, 35-mile-an-hour sign, 35-mile-per-hour sign, and 45. And all within, before you get to the curve.
I can answer that, I think.
Good.
We were supposed to have, I can't remember what his name was, last name was Rice. He was here. He said he was gonna go out with the guys and help them decide where to put these signs. And we've been texting him, emailing him. Abel just sent him another message. He's not responding to help us figure that all out.
Okay. Because it is, you know,
I know.
I'm glad to see that they did lower
Right.
the speed limit, but.
Well, it's just a
pretty-
warning, because we
And I-
didn't really lower it.
Right,
I did.
right,
Right.
right.
I did catch that the other day when I was checking roads the other morning. And I seen that 45. I'm gonna take that 45 down.
Okay,
That shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
In between that section on that hill.
Yeah.
But at least to be more consistent that way then too.
And they
Okay.
should sort of be reversed maybe too, but
Anybody got anything else? Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for coming in. Item 6 is communication of Dane County Board. Jerry has another meeting, so he's not gonna be here. I talked to him today. All he said was that the jail, they're working on the jail. They passed one more step, but there's 2 more steps to go. So that's all he told me.
He dropped off, I wasn't in the office, but he dropped off this information that's in your packet on the broadband.
And I think that's down farther on the agenda too, isn't it?
So that's page 21 and 22 in your packet. And I think it's just some listening sessions. I'll make sure to post this to the town website so that
Okay, you've been following up this stuff, right?
yeah, you know, and it's interesting. They're trying to find out right now more who doesn't have internet rather than who has crummy internet. Which is the same thing.
No, I get
So, I mean, right now, isn't that kind of what you're finding out, you know, and we're hoping at some point to figure out some way to
Yeah.
improve it.
All right, well, thank you. Item 8. Discussing the possible action. We really can't do any action, but we can talk about it. Curbside garbage pickup appearance with Joe Spare. I call representative from Pelletier. Can you hear us? Joe, can you hear us? It looks like he's muted. There you
Oh,
go.
sorry, I was muted.
Now we can hear you.
Rookie foul. Sorry about that. Yes,
So-
I can hear you.
Okay, I guess you kind of want to give us your rundown on curbside pickup, and then we can go with questions from here.
Sure. I mean, obviously being I would consider you guys a longtime partners, considering the fact our partnership started in 2009. Kind of exciting, obviously, for us to even hear that you're considering curbside pickup. It's a huge convenience to communities. You know, it's a little bit of a transition, obviously, to go from a traditional drop-off site to a curbside collection. Some people love it. Some people are indifferent. Some people, you know, are opposed. I think it's just a matter of the feedback you get from your community and your residents on, you know, the desire to transition from a drop-off site to curbside. It's something that we've been doing for a long time. Last year was probably one of the busiest RFP seasons that we had for curbside, considering all the moving pieces and acquisitions going on within the waste hauling market. People that would have traditionally extended contracts with their current hauler were not entertaining the possibility of doing so because there were 2 large companies that one acquired the other. You know, I'm not going to bore you with details on why, you know, people decided not to, but it was a very busy season, and we anticipate this season to be equally as, if not more busy, which is why we are encouraging people that if they are bound to an RFP process, to start that sooner than later. Like I said, long tenure servicing the town of Oregon. It's been a great partnership, and we definitely, Jennifer's, I'm kind of new to it because your usual account manager who started this partnership back in 2009 is not the dedicated residential curbside rep. That would be me. So I kind of just jumped in when Jennifer started asking questions about it. She's been nothing but a pleasure to work with, and I'm happy to answer questions that her or any of you guys have, which is why I'm, making myself available tonight to kind of flush out any of these kind of unknowns that you guys may be curious about.
Okay, Kate, you got any questions you want to ask?
Well, I guess one question, I get curbside right now and with the recycle and garbage. But is there also the possibility of getting brush picked up, weeds picked up? Just to gather information to figure out how much we may still use or what else might be available and how much more it would be to get those extra services.
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question. Obviously, all the additional services aside from curbside waste and recycling pickup, those are things that we need to know ahead of time. So yes, we do curbside brush pickup. Yes, we do. If you guys want to offer a bulk pickup program, so for anything that's larger that doesn't fit in your curbside bins, there's two different models to that. So one is a pay-as-you-throw, which we usually encourage, because if you offer it as a service that's done on an annual or biannual basis, that's included in the curbside costs. Obviously, the curbside costs go up because we have to account for the fact of picking those up on a schedule, as opposed as a lot of communities decide that it's not going to be an included service, but in communities that we do service, what we do is offer our box truck to come out either on a weekly or a monthly basis. And I would think with your proximity to our offices, we'd be able to do that on a weekly basis, and taking into effect that is offered in some of your surrounding communities, that once a week will come out and offer that. And then residents pay per item. So depending on the type of item, there's a set rate through the duration of the contract with very reasonable accelerators year after year, that per item, they would contact us and say, hey, I need a mattress picked up. Could you guys put us on your schedule? At that point, we would take prepayment. We would put a ticket in and then schedule them for that pickup service curbside, as opposed to them having to haul it somewhere. In addition to that, we are really big on educating our customers or our partners on alternatives. Obviously, we're really big on landfill diversion. So we always tell them options. If it's something like a couch, obviously you have your resale shops. If you're able to transport that yourself, that, we want to try to keep things out of a landfill and try to repurpose or use those if possible. But yes, there are curbside options, whether it be for bulk item or for brush yard waste type pickup or anything of that nature.
So I want to follow up on that question then. So do you bill the customer directly and they pay you? Is that how it works? If there's an additional item like a mattress or a couch?
So yeah, that's a great question. So if it's not something that the town would be wanted or would desire to have included as a service. So the curbside trash and recycling usually gets billed to the town, and then that's usually passed on as a cost to the residents through either their tax or utility bill. But in a situation where you want people to adopt the pay-as-you-throw model, yes, we bill the resident directly, and we take that as a prepayment, and then we schedule the pickup.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
What day of the week do you pick up?
It really would vary. Since you guys don't currently have a curbside collection model, obviously that would provide us a little bit more flexibility on where obviously we service the Village of Oregon. So maybe it would make sense to have that service either same day or on a corresponding day, but it could be any day, Monday through Friday, obviously. And with you guys being new to the curbside collection, there wouldn't be any sort of disruption or inconvenience had you done this historically and maybe we're accustomed to being picked up on a Monday and all of a sudden with our routing, it only fits in on a Friday, which would be a big difference in what you're accustomed to.
The only reason I'm asking is, if we're gonna do this, we have a lot of residents that aren't in town on Fridays that leave and are retired.
Sure.
And would it be beneficial for them to, on a Friday, not have their trash picked up or have somebody take it out for them? So that was the only reason I asked. And how much a month are with this curbside cost, the residents?
Sure, that's something I've actually discussed with Jennifer. And obviously, without knowing whether there's some variables here that we don't know if this is going to have to be published to a formal RFP, and really giving a defined cost in a public forum would kind of be, there's people that come in and they try to sell on price alone, and we're accustomed to that. We price on something that's sustainable for us providing the service, but is also not something that we're going to really make unfavorable for your community. So I do have an idea of price. I can tell you based off of the last RFP season and communities similar to your size and kind of similar geography, with being a town that does have some dense areas of population, but also does have some outliers, that you could experience probably anywhere from on the lower side of 14 to upper side of a $17 per home per month price tag. And again, I can dial that in, but
I just wanted to ballpark this, so I
sure, yeah.
have no idea how much it would cost to have it done. So before we make a decision for our town residents, it'd be nice to know how much it was gonna cost.
Yeah, and again, price is constantly changing.
Right, for sure.
I mean, we do have an existing contract that goes through the 2025 calendar. So if it were to wait that long, it definitely would change between now and then, obviously. And then the other things, going back to our previous conversation, things that can kind of fluctuate that price are things you want included in that per month rate for your residents, whether it be curbside brush collection or curbside bulk item collection, things of that nature.
Perfect. That's all I got.
Okay, I want to follow up on a question on that, on the cost part. So we have to do a contract, correct? We do a contract for so long?
Yeah, yep.
So you give a price today, how long is that price good for? Or is it variable from 1 year to the next? Does it get looked at every year? Or how does that go?
Yeah, it does. It much like any of our pricing, it does get reviewed annually.
Annually?
Whether it be dumpsters. I mean, the only thing that really, if you kind of look at your current contract, you can kind of budget for what your lease rates, for instance, are on your compactors, because those are contracted out and you kind of know what those are expected to be. But yeah, when we do a municipal curbside collection contract, typically what those are a 5-year agreement, and your year one pricing is set. And then your increases for the next 4 are also set, so you can anticipate what that's going to cost year after year and those associated increases. We also typically we provide a 10-year option. And what we've done for new customers is given them a 5-year price option, and whether it be weekly or bi-weekly recycling, that's kind of, I wouldn't say 50-50, but we have had a number of our current curbside customers increase their recycling from every other week to weekly. So we provide a 5-year with whatever let's say you started 5-year every other week. We provide the option in the first 18 months of said contract that you could either opt into a 10-year contract at that more favorable and guaranteed price, or you could also increase to weekly recycling at given rate. So we try to offer a little bit of a flexibility and option and let you try out that 5-year and then have 18 months to figure out, well, do we want to increase to weekly, or do we want to opt into that 10-year pricing at a more favorable rate?
So that price you gave us is weekly for trash pickup and bi-weekly for recycles.
Correct. Yeah. On average, like I said, last season, that ballpark was specific to a weekly trash collection and bi-weekly recycling.
Okay, thank you. Arlen?
With the fuel prices going up, do you have a fuel surcharge if the prices of fuel go up then too, or?
We have a unique, yes, that's a great question. And yeah, to be completely transparent, we do have a fuel surcharge table that has historically been tied to any curbside contract. But having said that, until recently, a lot of our communities were benefiting from a fuel rebate. So when markets are favorable, we actually credit back a certain percentage, or not percentage, but a certain dollar amount per home. And then when fuel goes up, obviously that's an increased cost for us. So it's not something that we mark up. It's just covering our costs associated with having a truck in your community.
That's all. Jason?
A couple questions. Is this kind of an all in or all out? Every resident is pretty much got to go on board with this. And the second part of the question is, as far as the residents that are currently using dumpsters, I mean, you guys, does that, the prices on them change at all with the whole township going into them guys get a little better rate, or is what it is on them?
It's not a set in stone thing. So yes, it is. If you go with a curbside automated collection contract, it is all or nothing. So right now, the way you guys are serviced with being a drop-off site, any resident can call us for what we call subscription curbside, where they directly contract with us at a negotiated rate for us to send a truck into your community and do that with our automated truck, that does the carts. It's usually not as favorable of a rate as if we had the entire community. So there would be anybody who had those kind of services would definitely, it'd be advantageous for them to be serviced as an entire community. And then the dumpster service, and a lot of homeowners that have dumpster service is usually like the smallest 2-yard dumpster. That's a completely separate contract. So it would really kind of depend on who they're contracting with. If they're tied into, somebody besides Pelletieri on a 3-year agreement, they'd still be tied into them. And then it'd just be a matter of them letting you guys know, we don't want this service, which you have the luxury of saying either you're paying it one way or another, or okay, we will take you off, we'll take that fee off your tax bill. But then it's just a matter of spreading that across the people who are getting the service. Does that make sense?
Yeah, kinda.
I mean, I'm happy to clarify. It's just a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
of different,
I mean, it's a whole different truck, a whole different run, so there's really.
right,
you know,
right.
it's,
Added on to that, could like someone get another dumpster and could they contract that through you, a whole nother? Like they get one included, can they get another one?
Yeah,
If they
that's something,
Garbage then would fit in one dumpster. Or
sure.
one container at the curb,
Right. So what we always do is we'll give the town a price for one set of carts. So usually our standard is 95. Yeah, we always go with the largest. So we get a 195 trash cart, 195 recycling cart. That is your set rate. That's how much per month you would pay for that service. And then any additional, if they want a second trash or a second recycling cart, that is on us. We bill the resident directly for that. And it's an annual fee. Right now it's averaging $99 that they pay annually to have a second one. And basically what that does is account for the additional tonnage on whether it's trash or recycling.
that would be a second 95. container?
95 gallon, yeah, yep.
$99 a year that you bill the resident directly.
Correct, yep,
And they get that, and then you deliver that container to them.
yep.
Okay.
The other thing we typically offer is additional bags. So it's different rates because obviously there's different fees to process. So there are times where people want to see how much extras they have and then do the math and say, well, am I accumulating enough extras to justify this $99 annually? So there is a per bag additional fee for customers to have bags outside their carts. And the only difference is one, cost, and two, we require recyclables to be put in clear plastic bags because there is a human element to our sorting, because we do own and operate our own material recovery facility. So when it gets down to that part in the line, if they can't see what's in the bag, obviously we get recyclables from both residential, commercial, hospitals is the big one. Why we want clear is so we can see what we're ripping into. If they can't see it, we don't want to risk, worker injury or being poked by something that's not very favorable. So that's really the only stipulation of putting any additional recyclables curbside, is that they have to be in clear plastic bags.
Wait, I have one other question back to Kate's original. I would imagine the feasibility of having you guys come to pick brush up or mattresses or whatnot is gonna be way more affordable with you guys having a dumpster located somewhere, I would assume, versus you guys coming to houses and picking up, or is that not? And if so, does the township, is there any, if the township's going with you guys on board for everything, do the rates change with the dumpsters at all, or is it just standard price what we're paying now, or?
I mean, it's almost like it's a customizable menu of things to offer. I feel like it is, if you have the ability to have a secure location where you can monitor and police the kind of items that are being put into your containers, it's usually a more reasonable rate to have a large item drop off or a brush yard waste drop off. And then you're also controlling you get a set haul rate and disposal fee for those items. So it's just a matter of when you're full, we come pick it up and then you will take it away and bring it back empty, which obviously with you having a current drop-off site, that you do have that flexibility. And then for any overflow, a lot of our communities have overflow containers. So, and they may not need to be the big roll-off type containers. We have a number of communities that offer curbside that also offer dedicated cardboard dumpsters. Because let's be honest, that's the Amazon effect is very, very much a thing right now, especially. So boxes take up a lot of space in a curbside recycling bin. So a lot of our communities have offered drop-off sites specific to cardboard, single stream trash, brush and yard waste, and large items. So like I said, that's all just a matter of the convenience you want to offer for a curbside, plus the costs associated with that, versus what you're willing to kind of pass on as a cost and say, hey, we'll take these items this much at the drop-off site, and then it's just a matter of us taking them away.
What kind of ballpark price are you talking for picking up a TV or or mattress at somebody's residence? Just throw a wild out there. We're not holding you to it.
Yeah, no, it's that one's a tough one to dial in because they do vary by community. I mean, an electronic is usually a little bit more expensive, like a $55 per item, just because of where we have to take it. But usually with electronics, those are easier to divert from us picking them up. So we have a number of options to provide. Like for instance, right here in Madison, a lot of people contact us and they hear our curbside pickup price, and we're saying, well, if you have the ability to transport it yourself, you can bring it to File 13, who will happily.
Closer to that $50 than the $200.
Well, sure. Yeah, no, it's definitely not $200.
That's all I was looking for, just the ballpark number there. What do we,
Yeah, it's not $200 for us to pick up a TV.
Jennifer, you got more? I got a few. One, so if we do go this route and we're gonna get the containers, do you guys distribute them or they come here and people have to come pick them up? How does that work? The 95-gallon drums?
Oh, no, we deliver those. Yeah, so your typical container delivery rollout is essentially, considering the size of your community, maybe it would take 3 or 4 days. And we would obviously give you a heads up ahead of time so we can put, notice out to all the residents on when to anticipate those to be arriving. So we deliver a set per household. And then if you decide to offer cart selection, because we do offer 65-gallon as well, we send out a mailer beforehand and say, if you do not want the largest container, please let us know by sending this mail back. And we keep a tally of those so that we know how many carts we're delivering. We track it by address. And then with every recycling cart we deliver, there's a nice packet of information in there as to, here's your service day, here's your collection calendar. These are the days you'll be picked up for trash. Here's the days you'll be picked up for recycling. Here are the recognized holidays that may cause a delay in service, which is usually by 1 day, as if a holiday falls on a Monday through Friday. Let's say we have a Christmas on a Monday and your typical service day is Tuesday, it's going to have a 1 day delay and be picked up Wednesday. And then just basic information, what's accepted curbside for trash, what's prohibited materials, our expanded list of recyclable materials, which a lot of people are surprised by, that we accept things like pots and pans and small appliances. And recently had the pleasure of adding paper cups to our accepted recyclables. So it's not a ton of information, but it's all very relevant information that we deliver inside the carts, and it's clear as day. It sticks out of the cart in a clear plastic bag so that when they go to get them and bring them up to their garage or wherever they're going to store them, they're like, oh, this packet of information. So yeah, we do deliver them and try to provide as much information to divert all the calls from town to our offices, which is also listed on there. Call us at this number so if you have any questions.
So you didn't answer part of my next question was, so the pickup, like you said, there's a holiday. So do they get a calendar of the whole year then?
Yes.
So what pickup day is going to be. So if there is a change in a holiday, they get a yearly calendar of when pickup is.
Sure. Yeah. It's on your, like this, your standard size piece of paper, and it's
Okay.
got all 12 months on there, and
Okay.
it's pretty easy to follow. It's got a orange dot for just trash. And then it's got an orange square with a black circle or a brown circle in it for trash and recycling. And then they'll see, you know, on like in July, that if the 4th of July falls on a weekday, all of a sudden their Tuesday pickup gets bumped to Wednesday. And a lot of people we put that separately on purpose because we hope that people take that and they like pin it on their fridge and they're like, well, now I know which service days are going to have interruptions or things like that.
So is there a contact information number on that paper so that they ain't calling the office? They're calling you people if there's a complaint with something on the service?
There's always a call number. We have a fully staffed customer service team that's picking up phones constantly. So yeah, our effort is to. Yep.
And then if there's a damaged bin, do you guys come and fix that and take care of it? How's that handled?
Yeah, so if it's damaged by our operation, we come out and we'll replace that. I'm not gonna lie, I mean, automated trucks are really cool and they make our drivers' jobs a lot easier. Sometimes they're not perfect, and we have them go dump a bin and that whole bin goes in the truck and they're like, oh, well, I can't climb up there and get it. And then they let our customer service team know, we go out and replace it. If it's a cart that's lost or damaged due to a resident, either resident neglect or they throw hot ashes in it, the thing goes up in flames, there's a fee associated with cart replacement, but everything comes through us. They contact us, we facilitate the replacement or the repair. But usually it's just stuff like a wheel pops off or the axle gets cracked or something. We have a box truck that runs around and does those repairs pretty much every week. So.
So I was talking to the town of Dunn, and they have farmers that do not participate.
Sure.
So from what I understand what you said earlier, if there is people that do not participate, that cost gets shared against everybody else. Is that correct?
So essentially, you know, your cost per unit, and you can multiply that by the potential number of units served. If you want to allow, it's totally at your discretion. If you want to allow people to opt out of curbside collection, you can say, okay, you can opt out and you could then disperse that cost elsewhere. Or you can say, this is an all or nothing service. It's offered townwide. You could use your curbside carts to supplement the service that you're paying for your 2-yard dumpster. And that's something that you can, like I said, is totally your discretion. But anybody who opts out, we would remove them from our billable units. And obviously our billable units are in our system for routing purposes. So we don't want to be going to, let's say you have a home that's, you know, a bit further from your more densely populated neighborhoods. We don't want to send a truck there every week for trash if it's never going to be there. So it's just good for us to be in a, you know, streamlined communication, understand which residents don't desire the service.
So what happens, I'm sure this does happen. You get contaminated trash in a container. There's no way for you to go back on who did that. Is there a penalty to the town or not?
Contaminated trash isn't so much an issue. I mean,
Like something comes in the antifreeze or oil or paint or something that we do not take at the torque. And it ends up in the trash and recyclable or the trash. Is the town penalized for any of that stuff, or is that just, you just absorb it and go on?
so unless there was some sort of catastrophic event where we picked something up in the truck, which essentially caused a fire, we don't dig too much into investigation.
Okay.
We do, as part of our newer contracts, since, you know, wish cycling has become a bit of an issue with recycling contamination. We do have verbiage within our contracts that has a 10% threshold. So if we experience 10% or more contaminated recycling within your community, it does have the potential for an audit to see where that's coming from. We haven't had to do that yet. While it is part of the contract, we have yet to have a community that's hit that 10% threshold. But there is ways with, you know, dialing back to where we are in a route and where things are within a load to kind of have an idea. And we'd just ask you for assistance in helping us address that with the homeowner and say, that stuff really shouldn't be going in there. But like I said, it's more specific to recycling.
I don't have anything else. Does anybody in the audience have any questions for this service that this guy's here to talk about? Tina?
I'm curious if you've ever done any environmental impact studies when you consider the two models of what service you're providing versus the traditional town collection center, AKA dump. Is there any comparison that you could give us? Being, hopefully all of us want to be stewards of the land. I'd like to see something that shows that a service such as yours, the curbside pickup, eliminates more waste from getting in the landfills, or do your services provide a selection of things that can be reused, repurposed, recycled? How does that compare?
So I think, to your point, by transitioning from a drop off to a service of curbside would obviously increase our number of inbound inquiries in regards to, hey, I have this item that I want you to pick up and throw away. That provides us the ability to give alternatives. So when it comes to, you know, things that can be reused or brought to a, you know, your St. Vinny's or Goodwills, things of that nature. The thing that we're missing with you having a drop-off site is that interaction and that engagement to provide alternatives. But I mean, if you think about it, anything that your run-of-the-mill trash or recycling that you would put in your cart that you're historically accustomed to bringing to the drop-off site, we're going to get that one way or another. Either we're getting it out of the compactors and hauling it away, or we're getting it curbside. So I don't see there being much of a difference there. I think where the real opportunity is to have engagement with the residents and offer alternatives, or they call us out of curiosity. They're not sure if something's recyclable. There's an education opportunity there to say, you would think so, but unfortunately not, or you'd be surprised to know, yes, we are actually able to take that and give tips on proper preparation. If you go to our website, which, by the way, if we have a curbside collection contract with every municipality, you'll notice everybody has a dedicated landing page specific to how they're different from any other customer. So what, you know, they can download their service calendar, they can download their accepted list of recyclables, they can get information and calendar notices. We have the ability for residents to sign up for any weather-related service disruptions, which are very, very few and far between, to be honest. But people can get emails from us just on various things. And so there's a lot that comes with curbside collection that we're able to offer above and beyond, you know, tips and suggestions. But it's a very interesting question. It's one I haven't gotten often, but just know that we have a very high level of communication with the communities we serve, because as opposed to calling their village, town, or city, they do call our customer service team. And a lot of people learn a lot of things. Where I was going that I totally got off track. If you go to our website, you can go to, on the top, under resources, there's recycling tip videos. There are, I believe now 20 1-minute explainer videos that on the proper ways to put your proper ways to process recycling. You know, from the stuff you wouldn't think of, like ripping the top off your clean cardboard pizza box and throwing the greasy part in the trash because the grease is a contaminant, or to not crush your water bottles, because the easiest technology we rely on within our recycling center is gravity. So if you're crushing down a water bottle and it's not in its 3D form, it's going to continue to ride up the conveyor with paper as opposed to topple back down with the other plastics. So if you're ever curious, I definitely encourage you to check it out. Anybody can go to our website and see that. And there's also a full-blown video on our recycling facility and how we process your recyclables.
Thank you. I think I'm hearing that there's probably an educational element with curbside pickup that's not there once a week when you quickly throw something in a bin at the dump.
Definitely.
So your resources are far more thorough and available. And can I ask one more question? I'm understanding, I believe that a lot of your pricing is based on population density, based on the town's population numbers. Am I
Yeah,
correct?
sure. There's a number of variables. Yeah, it's the size of the community,
Okay,
the number of homes, and then anything above and beyond that, the standard trash and recycling curbside pickup are usually things that factor into that per home per month rate that we would be
the
charging.
reason I'm asking is because I am a town chair in a contiguous town. And we are also considering curbside pickup, looking at that as an option. And I wondered if municipalities ever partner together, or if you would consider, because you would be adding thousands more to Oregon, if that would adjust the price, the base price in any way.
I'm not saying it's never been done. It's tricky, but usually it's more of a, you know, the village and the town of Oregon are both considering curbside. If one or the other went with us, here'd be your price. If the village and town came together and agreed that they were good with a 5-year contract for weekly trash and every other week recycling, maybe get a little bit of a better rate. But I mean, that's a great question. And it just gets a little, it gets tricky, because then it comes, two people or two towns or villages or whoever have to agree on those additional services above and beyond the standard, you know?
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
No, great questions. I appreciate you asking.
Anybody else in the audience have any questions? Any more board members?
One more, and maybe you answered this. So the people that are currently in contracts, does Pedetary do anything to offset that cost to the township while they're still in that contract with another company? If we, you know, you're saying it's all in or all, you know, it's gonna be priced per resident, how many residents?
Sure.
There's numerous, I'm guessing by driving around, there's numerous people that have contracts with other companies. Is
Yeah.
Pedetary willing to step in if they can provide that contract or whatever and say, yeah, you're right, we can't charge the township this much until this contract's expired?
Sure. And I mean, based off the number of the potentially, you know, front load dumpster clients within the town. So I'll just give you a short answer.
I'm
We
talking curbside.
Oh, for like, okay, so if they're doing,
Not the dumpster, I'm talking actual curbside pickup. I mean, when you drive around, there's a lot of other companies' dumpsters currently in the township now.
okay, gotcha.
To offset that cost to the people that can't get out of their contracts. You know, they get out of their contract until it's up.
Right. So we don't do contract buyouts.
I'm not saying a contract buyout. I'm saying, do you eliminate the cost of that resident until their contract is up?
Again, that would be at the town's discretion if they want to exempt them from the fees monthly, and they would just have to let us know. But then you also do have that flexibility of adding them at the whatever, I mean, if they have a year left, so your price has gone up from your first year to your second year, you do have the ability of adding them to that service and just letting us know so we can put them on routing. And then they would have whatever fee was associated with that year of the contract. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so we just pass that cost on to everybody else then until, so,
Sure, because essentially what we do is we take a monthly rate times the number of homes.
yeah,
We bill the town and the town bills the residents either on their tax or utility bills. That's historically how it's done. So then you just,
if you're trying to get the business, maybe you'd offset some of them contracts to help the township out. I mean, there's a lot of residents that are dealing with another company.
yeah,
I mean, obviously, you guys are trying to get you're trying to get the job in the business.
yeah.
Should be a little cost share there, I would think, with that.
And to be honest, a lot of our competitors, again, going back to the fact that there has been some acquisitions within the market, a lot of our competitors who offer those kinds of services, and I just had this happen recently, where we took over the contract from one of our competitors for a citywide contract. They didn't want to send a truck just for a private homeowners association for 12 units any longer. It didn't make sense for them for how much they were getting paid for that homeowners association who wasn't included under the city contract to just send it for them. So they essentially picked up their equipment and they were like, sorry, not interested. So then we were able to come in and offer to service them.
They were willing to let the contracts expire.
Yep.
Thank you.
So just a couple quick questions. So when they pick up the trash and goes in your guys' truck, does that go right straight to the landfill?
Dane County, yes.
Okay, and the
Yep.
recyclables go into Madison and you sort them.
So yeah, within Dane County, we exclusively use Dane County landfill, which a lot of people don't realize the benefit of that is that a portion of our disposal fees go back into the county for the upkeep of green spaces and local waters, which I think is really neat. And then our recyclables, we have the ability to control since we operate our own recycling center. So those go to Kip Street here in Madison. So yeah, Dane County trash, recyclables, us.
So right now we have a contract with the compactors and we was to do this. My guess is you guys would take care of that contract and then also take back the compactors, correct?
So yeah, the thing is, you do have a lease rate on your compactors. Again, that contract goes through 2025. With us having a 13-year partnership, we would try to be reasonable on how we can cover costs because obviously we plan for the cost of those lease rates in that not 5 year, I think it was a 7-year contract that was signed in 2018 to get through 2025. Aside from that, there's, deinstallation costs, things like that. So yes, there's typically a cancellation cost associated, but obviously we would try to work with the town on something reasonable to transition from the drop off to the curbside contract. But to be completely transparent, there are costs associated with that. It would just be another timing thing. So whether this was January 1st, 2023, or a year later in 2024, obviously that cost of the contract of the drop-off center starts decreasing and it will continue to decrease from now until I believe the contract's up March 1st, 2025.
Okay, well, I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
We all learned a lot tonight. It was a good presentation, a lot of good questions.
No, I love the engagement. There's great questions and I appreciate the opportunity to kind of speak to the differences and benefits of curbside. So don't hesitate to reach out if you think of anything else. Jennifer has my email and my phone number, so I'm happy to answer those.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Yep, absolutely. Everybody have a great rest of the night.
You too, thanks.
Thanks.
Okay,
I will add one thing, is that if we were deciding to go to curbside with the two communities, there is an extra recycling, part of the recycling grant, in that maybe if we would share a drop-off facility or somehow like that, something to think about.
We have a committee in place now, so I am interested in gaining as much info as I can I just wrote you a little note here, Jennifer, that I would like his contact information if
okay.
you email me. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, no problem.
Okay. Thank you.
So we are gonna get information from Waste Management too, correct?
I think we need to.
We got, you had started that and he had sent us that
Right.
quote, but we never had him come in and give a presentation
Right.
such as that. So,
Would you like that?
Well,
yeah,
I know some of the residents asked me,
Okay, we
so,
can,
yeah,
you can invite them
Yeah.
for next month.
sure. I can
I'm fine with
invite him
that.
next month.
okay.
Yeah. I was kind of hoping to have both here like the same night.
Have a bidding war?
Yeah, well, yeah, so you can invite them for next month and see what happens.
Sure. I
Okay.
can do that.
Sounds good. Item 9, discussing possible approval, possible sale of liquor license to the town of Brooklyn. You didn't hear nothing back, you said?
I did. He emailed me back later this afternoon. He just said, Jennifer, that opportunity does still exist at the town of Brooklyn. Question for your board. Would you consider selling one and at what purchase price?
So, and how many we have left? 4?
Okay, let's look here.
I think it's 4.
Down. Right.
People back up, Jennifer. There was a spot that said the
Did
town
it
had
say?
4.
Right there.
Okay. The town has 4. We have 4.
So we sold one of these a few years back. It's been
2017.
2017. And I think we got 15,000 there. I don't think we'll ever use 4. I think we should always keep at least a couple on hand in case somebody does eventually build a wedding barn or something like that and wants a liquor license. Well, then we'd be looking for something for them. So I would hate to say we should get rid of them all, but I wouldn't see an issue selling one, but that's just my thoughts. I don't know what everybody else thinks. Jason?
Yeah, I don't know what you need 4 of them for either, but I agree, you don't want to get rid of them all.
Arlen?
I would say if we could get 15,000 for another one, we'd let it go.
Fred?
I totally agree.
Kate?
I agree.
I think we're too late at 15,000.
I think so too.
I think we should be at 20 or 25 and see where, we can always start high and come down if we had to. So
It's a negotiable.
I don't know, say 25 and see what they say.
Okay.
That'd be my thoughts on what,
Yep.
everybody comfortable with 25?
Good idea.
Did they say what they wanted for us?
I did hear, but I don't remember what it was. I can't say, to be honest about it.
This is in the town of Brooklyn.
This is the town of Brooklyn, yeah.
Yep. Have they got any now?
The town of Attica
Attica
is in the town of Brooklyn or
Attica.
so that's where the one for 15,000 that we sold went to the Attica bar.
And there's one right across the road from that place in Attica. They got food.
They got food, yes.
I think it is for a wedding facility, I think. I heard bits and pieces of it, I don't remember it all. So I guess that's how I would approach it, Jennifer. Send them back an email and say, yeah, we consider it.
You're thinking $25,000.
And just say 25,000. If they say it's too much, well, then we can talk about it next board meeting.
Okay.
Sounds good. 10, discussion possible action, the town of Oregon COVID-19 policy. We had this at a copy of it last month's meeting. It's been re-advised and I think it looks pretty good. So everybody else thinks it's okay. We need to make a motion to adopt this.
Wayne, the only thing I don't like about it is
What's that?
why the town of Oregon encourages or is even commenting on the vaccines.
What's that?
Number 4, the vaccine part of it. Why does that need to be in there?
Well, this encourages them. Everybody's encouraging everybody. to
I know
be
it's all
vaccinated.
encouraged.
So I mean, it's not saying you have to be, it's encouraging. And that's what, all your state mandates are, all your county mandates
No,
are.
and I know you read down through there, a lot of them are. Well, I didn't see any more of that where it said encourage on this stuff. Maybe I didn't read hard enough.
I read the whole, I thought it read pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I read it too, a
I
couple of times actually.
and
I know on the previous one, there was a lot of that word used, encourage. Correct. I didn't see it anywhere.
It's over on the other side too. Town of Oregon encourages all the staff, residents, businesses.
Right, to engage in indoor social distance practice. So some of this came out of the Dane County ordinance, some of it came out of the village's ordinance, and I'm fine with the word encourages, because I mean, that's what we're supposed to do.
I'll make a motion that we approve the COVID-19 policies.
Got a motion from Fred to approve it. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second from Kate. Any further discussion? All in favor, sing by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oh, same sign. Motion carries. 11, discussing possible action on contact conditional police service. I just heard back from the gal today. And we don't have to do it this month, but I think it's something we need to really think about. We really don't have to contract 4 hours a month. We can contract 4 hours every other month, or, 12 hours a year, or whatever you want to do. And they will adopt our ordinances and enforce it. And to me, that's very reasonable. I mean, if all we got to do is say, 4 hours every other month, or 4 hours every 3 months, we have the enforcement to enforce our own ordinances. And to me, that takes a load off of our constable, who shouldn't be enforcing some of them ordinances anyway, for safety matters. So to me, and I mean, like, we don't have to make a decision tonight, we can think about it and do it next month, but it's gonna be $100 an hour. It ain't $100 right now, but it's gonna get to $100 an hour. That night when she came here, it was 86, I think she said, or 84, but she said it's gonna push $100 by the end of the year. So, yeah, 86 is what's on there. And it would take them probably 2 months before it could go into effect, because the county board has to approve it. So she said with the time frame, it'll probably take 2 months. But another way I think that we could justify to pay for this is either we could eliminate the constable position, or really lower the pay, and let's just let the constable be like the dog catcher or whatever. But we do have the Dane County Humane Society call for that. So we could really eliminate the constable position if we wanted to, I think. And what is that, $3,500 a year he gets paid?
I have to look. but
I think it's
around
35.
something like that.
So I mean, that's a few hours right there of paying for police service. That's 35 hours. So that's 3 hours a month. So I think it's something that we should really think about and consider.
Have you seen them out and about, Wayne, since, I mean, right after that meeting, you all of a sudden seen them pop up
Right.
here, there, and everywhere. And since then, I mean, is there a number we can call and lean on them a little bit? I mean, it's Dane County, and right after that meeting, yeah, great for a couple days, and then just, you don't see them at all, period.
I can call them and get them to do it. They are so short of staff. It's terrible. And the short staffing has taken it off of the track part of it, because of that short staff. So
And I
when the
understand.
staffing is short, they take it away from the patrol on the roads. That's just what they do.
And I understand where the townships are hiring them on, but I just totally disagree with it, because, I mean, that's their job anyhow. So I mean, you're paying them to come do their job essentially.
Well, it is, except for our ordinances.
The ordinance part, yes, I agree.
And that's what,
But we're looking to just try to enforce, just,
well, so to explain this, to get a little better handle on it, because I was concerned about this. When we contract them for that 4 hours, or whatever we do, that is just for patrol. Once they adopt our ordinances, so somebody calls for a neighbor dispute, that is not held against us on our hours. That's an automatic. The only time that our uncontracted hours is for road patrol.
well, isn't that guy we're hiring coming in and doing that overtime hours is what they kind of told that night?
Correct.
So how could he be called away when he's really not on duty anyhow? He's on duty for us, not for, he's on overtime. I mean, it don't make sense. How can he be called away?
Well, if there's a shooting somewhere, he's gonna get called away. You know, if it's just, you know, it's gotta be something tragic. She told us that night, it's gotta be something tragic for him to be called away. But it is all overtime. The 4 hours is strictly overtime. So
I
it's-
didn't think of it that night to ask that question in such a way, okay, he's at, how can he get called away, period?
Yeah, and I don't think it benefits us to go through Brooklyn because they only have night service. We need service from 6 in the morning till 9 or, 3 in the afternoon till 6. That's when we need the hourly service. So until Brooklyn gets more, I don't think it's, and they're talking about adding more money to get more coverage, but for now, that's not an option for us. So I mean, it's just out there. I mean, we can think about it. We can put it on the agenda for next month or.
I wonder how specific we could be with the hours that we want. Like twice a month from,
We can tell them when we got to tell them a month in advance.
Okay.
So if we want them for 4 hours in March, we would have to tell them a month in advance what we want.
Could we tell them the time of day we
Yes.
wanted them and they would do
Yes.
with that too?
Yes,
Would
we can.
that-
Yep. But,
It has to be 4-hour blocks of time though.
Okay.
and they
So it's
won't.
gonna be a consecutive
Right.
4 hours.
Right, and they won't guarantee it. And that would get the times that we ask for, but we would get told, okay, we can't do it on Monday, but we can do it Thursday, so
They're not gonna try out for now.
no. And there is, that 4 hours starts from the time they leave the precinct, so there is gonna be a half hour to 45 minutes of drive time in between.
I would know for sure once in a while, depending on how much we hired, or there would be someone here. And then people get a little nervous if they haven't taken one person's hours.
I honestly think it's a pretty good thing for us to do, to be honest about it. I really think, if we can do a minimum service, spend $3,000 or $4,000 a year. And the big thing is for them to be seen, they're out there, they're to be seen, and that's what you want. If they see them, then people, abide by it, so.
Maybe we should buy a squad car and just move it around road to road. Be cheaper in the long run.
Well, DeForest did that, DeForest had one parked up there on 51, and they had a dummy sitting inside of it. It caught people's eye, but once they learned what it was, Well, I guess we can table it till next month. I'd like everybody to really consider it and think about it. Is that,
I think we'd have to figure out if we can, how we move away with the constable's job to begin with, to free up that $3,500.
right? Well, we can't,
I don't know what it takes to do that.
well, we can't do that this year because he's been elected through next year.
Right.
But at the annual meeting or the budget meeting this fall, if there's a motion to eliminate that position is how it would happen. So he would be on the payroll until
Meanwhile,
April
I
of
think
next year.
make a call to him and just lean on him a little bit. I know we said we were gonna do that.
Yep, and I will do that, but like I said, they're so short-staffed. But I can talk to them and tell them that.
Have you gotten more complaints? Or-
I have not had any complaints. I haven't had one.
Well, on one way, I think they're really happy that. They all came in here before I got on this, said anything.
And I think this year we got to decide if we're going to keep the roads that we have at 45, we're gonna spend the money and do a road study to
I.
get them roads legit.
Dane County Towns Association is trying to negotiate a better way with Dane County to lower the speed limits rather than the way it is right now. So I contacted, I can't remember what her name is. Yeah, Renee, and so she's gonna put me in touch with the person that's talking to Dane County about it, so I can keep us abreast on what's happening with that.
All right, well,
So
let's,
we got a few phone calls and it was from people that don't live on Glenway, but travel Glenway, and they were not very happy.
not bad. And most of them are probably, don't even live in the township. They're coming from the south. That'd be my guess. Okay, let's put that on next month's agenda to discuss it in possible action. Give people a month to think about it and talk to other people about it. I will ask, I do have some new faces in the audience. What's the public feel on something like that? Tim,
Which subject?
on the policing, if we hired policing in town of Oregon?
Tim Yanacek, 5734 County Road D. Generally, I favor it. I often come to these meetings and hope to hear with the constable report, for example, but I never hear one. So I have a question in my mind, what does our constable do? If you hire Dane County, I think we'll know what they're doing. We've hired them to do enforcement during certain times, so I know what's being accomplished. I'm not saying our constable doesn't do things, I just don't know what they are. This is one way to see to it that our desires are carried out in a specific way.
Thank you. Steve?
Yeah, I agree with Tim. I know the constable has stepped up a little bit in the one to the park area. Plus mine. That needs to continue.
Arlen?
Arlen Kai, 5685 Lincoln Road. I would be a little curious as to how much they're patrolling now, since we have 3 county roads coming through between D, A, M. Am I missing one? CC
MM
and CC. So we have 4 county roads that represent a good 30-40% of the roads in, or the general public roads, not the subdivisions. And I'd be wondering what they're patrolling now and what can be piggybacked onto that, because their presence on the road to help deter speeders would be good.
Thank you. And I forget your name, so
Diana.
Diana, what's your
Diana
thoughts?
understands.
You live in the subdivision?
In Hampton Hills.
Yep.
I think it's a great idea. I actually saw a sheriff in our neighborhood last week, which I don't know why he was there, but I was like, wow. Because after I've come to the meetings where you were talking about seeing them more, and I do see them a lot around Brooklyn, especially when you're coming into town. But you just don't see them around here. I think it'd be great. I think it's a great idea.
Okay, thank you. Item 12, discussion of possible action on 22 road work. That is, is this a brown packet, Jennifer?
Yeah.
Because it just came today, it's in
Yeah,
this brown
it's on
packet.
page- oh, did I
Or is it
not
in this-
get the page numbers? I apologize. It's, yeah, it should be page 37, 38. It's right at.
Oh, no, okay, I'm sorry, yep.
Yeah, I apologize.
So I don't know what the board feels. I know next year we're gonna do Alpine. That's gonna be an expensive road. And my thoughts were, we carry over this money from this year to help offset next year. That's just my feelings, my thoughts. I'm able to put this together today, so this is the first time we're seeing it. We can discuss it again next month if you want to. But my feeling is we patch roads this year, and next year we're gonna have to spend a lot of money. We're still not gonna have enough money next year to do Alpine. We're gonna have to borrow money to do it. No ifs, ands, or buts, because that's gonna be an expensive road. Oil prices have gone up, so it's gonna cost more. I don't know if it really is gonna pay to seal coat, spend the money seal coating on Bellbrook to 92. Other than clear up Bellbrook. Someday in the near future. I don't know, I guess.
Here's a- I'm sorry.
I think he means D. We don't go to 92.
Bellbrook don't go to.
Bellbrook don't go to 92.
Oh, Glenwood, sorry.
That's one way.
That's Glenwood. I got my wrong.
Bellbrook goes
I
east and
go
west.
this way, yeah. I got my wrong road. I'm
So-
sorry.
Eight Bellbrook. where does he go?
That don't make sense.
He's got, he's got it wrong.
Hang on, this
He's
is
been,
Union
he's
Road.
mistaken Bellbrook for a different
Look at
road.
the title, it says Union Road, so Union Road goes from Bellbrook to 92. Goes right past your place,
You're right.
Union Road,
You're right. You're
it
right.
says, if you read it, read
Yes,
above,
yes, you're right. You're right.
And then A to, that should be Union also, then.
it's Union Road, that's what he's talking about
Yeah.
redoing. And it's Lincoln to A to Bellbrook, Bellbrook to 92.
I thought last year when we approved seal coating is around $30,000 a mile. So I don't know where you got the figures from.
They, we did that right around that day, and that's what they told us.
Yep.
And I don't disagree with you, it's gonna cost a lot of money to do Alpine, but in Arlen was there too, Arlen, and driving around, I think if we don't do some kind of maintenance on something, it's gonna kind of snowball into a worse mess a few years down the road. You know, there's some long stretches of roads that are, you know, I don't know what your thoughts are on the maintenance side of it. You know, I've talked a little bit to Nels, and Todd about it, and, you know, they've been doing it a long time, and they're all for maintenance.
Oh, I agree. I totally agree.
The maintenance is a pretty small cost compared to, I mean, there is, well, there's Arlen, what was there, Union, Netherwood is still, they felt very worthy of doing. Right. Union Road is getting bad from one end to the other where it's something, what was the other major stretch? Well, Alpine, we already know about. The other end of
Judd
Bellbrook,
Road's bad.
the other end of Bellbrook, I mean, there's just some long stretches. If we don't try to spend a little bit of money per mile and save some of these, just even if they prolong them, I mean, if you're talking 18, 20,000 a mile, and if that'll stretch them out
5 years, he said.
5 years, 5 to 7, you know,
Yeah,
just,
5
it
to 7.
depends. You know, and even Union Road, now I had Todd look at that, and, well, he come for something else. I didn't have to look, I asked him what he thought, and he thought that was more than worth doing. Where the guy from, what's he from,
Painadola.
oh,
Garrett,
yes.
Garrett from Painadola.
Oh, they work with Painadola.
Varner? Okay.
He said Union Road wasn't even worth touching.
So I have to put in a word about subdivision, Raven Oaks. I mean, where the roads come together, it's crumbling. There's holes. I can pick up things and.
No, we went up and we went and looked at them too, and I think some of these roads he has on here.
I mean, some of them are okay. You know, like Raven Oaks Trail isn't as bad as if you go off to a side one where you make a turn. It's all crumbling and in another year, it's.
You know, that was, that was the other thing in a couple of the subdivisions as far as seal coating now. You know, yeah, then you get the complaints with the
Big thing.
pea gravel,
Big
but there is the option of sweeping it up. And or, I mean, you can't have both worlds. You can't have new roads and cheap taxes and everything. I mean, the people, you know, I don't know how you educate them or let them know what the options are. Send flyers out, send letters out.
I know, I've talked about Raven Oaks a few years ago. I wanted to do the whole thing, but it's gonna be an expensive, it's gonna be expensive.
We drove around up in there that day and we spent, I mean, it's, you know, there was different, and I don't remember Abel does, Abel maybe should have been here.
It can be an expensive, it's gonna be an expensive project.
You know, and he's talking way there on Netherwood on wedging a little bit down towards the west end. I believe that's where he was talking, right?
Yeah, it was,
The west end on the north side, he was talking
Right.
about wedging.
it was hip there and he figured.
It's not horrible, and my question to them is, why spend that little extra money for something that you know you're gonna tear up in 6 or 7 years? You know, if we can seal coat it, and, you know, in
Well, we
5
gotta-
years, if it needs wedge, wedge it then, if it's
Yeah.
still.
I got a price a few years back when Bill was still on the board for seal coating, well, you were on the board, seal coating Netherwood. And that was like 6, we didn't do it.
We had seal coated a few years ago, Steve was on the board and it looked, and a month later, you couldn't tell that it was seal coated.
But I talked about it after that again. And I think that price was 60 grand or 63 grand.
Now, I don't know if Abel's 100% right on these prices.
Let me do some talking and
But they did tell us he did tell us that day in the truck, 18,000 a mile roughly. Roughly. So I mean, you
so
can't,
you rode around with, you didn't go around with Garrett then, from Painted Hill.
no,
You went around with somebody on the Seal Coat for fire,
yes.
that young kid.
40. Uh-huh.
I think he's younger than that. I know who you got now. Yeah, okay. Let's discuss.
No, and that's
it
why I
next
say
month.
like Union Road, and I disagree with him there too, and that is my opinion, that needs to be, crack filled and then seal coated. I mean, that's a long stretch to let go through. I hate pea gravel, absolutely hate it, but you're looking at
Well, it's-
20,000 a mile versus 80,000 a mile?
Let me get some more figures together and get things kind of straightened out here so we know where we're at. Like I said, we just got this, so.
Yeah, and I think what he was doing is just trying to get it out, so we talked about it, so it wasn't all of a sudden having them all here and we decide that.
So let's see if we can get something together and get it out earlier before next month's meeting so people can look at it.
Something could happen over winter with the road to make it way worse.
Very
than
well.
spring.
Okay, that's what we'll do. We're trying. Fire and EMS, Oregon, your minutes are in there. There's nothing new. We are in with the budget for the end of the year. We will have money left over from last year's budget. And then they did buy a new, replacing the R3, it's a Ford Expedition, replacing that with one of them little truckers, what do they call them? They're like the police cars. They bought a new one of those. It's supposed to be 10 months out. That was 40,000, but that was in last year's budget. So they did order that. So we'll see if we get it. Belleville, Jason, Brooklyn, Fred,
New chief is in, there's minutes in here. Most of you know, they fire on Union Road. This last weekend, our new fire truck, and I'm assuming Oregon had the same problem, pumps busted and froze, so the new fire truck engine is gonna be out of service for a few weeks while they get some replacement pumps. Fix it. Brooklyn's new one, the pump froze and broke on fighting that fire on Union Road. They had to get
everything was freezing. up.
everything, they were getting
I was down there.
glycol to put in, to keep the water from freezing, it was a mess. So,
I was down there.
I think Oregon, I think they had a couple pumps freeze up.
Yeah, and then the generators,
Yep.
the gas lines froze up.
Yeah,
I was there from 10:30 till 5:31.
Yeah, it was a mess, so.
We had to take, they called, we had to take salt down there,
Mhm.
and I was hoping we just had to do it once. We went down there and we got back to the shop, and they called again, and then we had to stay there with it all night. It was like they were bringing the water out of Brooklyn. I don't know how they spill so much water, but they spill water. The whole road was just, it was so cold, even though you had salt on there, it just iced. It was like, it was unreal. But chief said the house was totally gone, but it mainly ripped the center out and inside of it because the garage was never touched. And the one wall where I was at was still there, so I feel sorry for them. Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, other than that, that's all I got. I wasn't at the last January's meeting, I wasn't feeling well, so.
And we got more questions? 14, risk management, Kate,
We're all on time, nothing new.
nothing new. Okay, 15 is cemetery report. Jennifer helped me out here. She has, what Phil brought forward, we have not got no answers on. Is that correct, Jennifer?
Right, so I think what we need to do is we need to have a CSM done of the cemetery site. And it never was done when Phil was working on it. So I contacted Bob and asked him how much it would cost for him to do a survey. This cost is for the plots, the cemetery plots themselves. We need to have it done because we bought that land and they never did it.
I never surveyed it.
So he is gonna call me back. He did not have enough time. So I guess I said to Wayne, you can either approve this amount or we can wait. Or you guys, I think you need to have a
we-
survey of the land.
We could prove up to $5,000 if he comes back, then we can tell him to do it. If it's under $5,000, do it.
Is that $5,000 including this or
Right,
is that
to do
$5,000?
everything. I think
Okay,
I
I
think
don't
that
know.
would cover it, and then we at least get it off the agenda and move forward. If he calls this week and says he'll do it for 4,500, I'd like to give him the job and get it done, I guess. We've been dealing with this for months. So that would be kind of my recommendation, but is that,
I don't know how you guys feel, but I think there has to be a survey of
Yeah,
the.
I agree.
of the
we
land
bought that
itself.
land and never surveyed it, yeah.
Right,
It's kind of up to you guys, if you want to move forward now, or if you want to wait another month. Hey. Jason?
Yeah, as long as the money's there, it's fine, I guess.
So I'll make a motion that we approve up to $5,000 for the survey of the Storytown Cemetery.
Got motion Fred for 5,000. Is there a second? Second from Arlen, any further discussion? But I'll say if it's more than that, then we'll bring it back to next month's meeting. All in favor, somebody saying aye. Aye. Pose same sign. Motion carries. Park committee report, Steve?
Yeah, finally,
Sorry.
that's okay. At our last meeting, we decided to replace the signs in the parks, the ordinance signs in the parks, bring them more up to date. At a cost of $509.96. And so I would like to have that board approve that amount,
How much was that, Steve?
$509.96.
Which part, I'm sorry, Steve?
All parks.
Oh, okay.
So there's a recommendation for park committee to spend $509.46 for new signs.
96.
96 cents.
I'll make that motion.
A motion from Fred. Is there a second? Second from Jason. Any further discussion?
Do we ever get this account straightened out on the park for goes into the park fund, paid out of the park fund?
Right, so what we have to do is, we're gonna have to figure out a system, but we do keep track of park expenses. So what we would need to do is, at the end of the year, all the park expenses, if they would get taken out of the park account. Now, do you want to do that? Is that the board's intention? Because then we can do that. So like, we just entered 2021. Do you want us to add all those park expenses together and actually withdraw them from the park account? Is that what you would like?
Well, my guess is if it's coming out of the park fund, that's what we do. I mean,
Okay,
Steve usually says, you know, when he presents something, it's coming out of the park fund, correct?
Correct.
okay, then we will do
So-
that. And so then it will, we probably won't do it. We could do it quarterly, I guess, depending on how much money is spent, or we can do it at the year.
Well, I
And
know it's,
so we could do it for, we haven't done it yet for 2021, but if you want us to, we can do it.
I know it's a little more work, but what I would like to see is to see the park fund have its own report.
Yeah.
Then Steve would have a budget report he could give to his committee when he has a meeting.
They don't
Here's what we
spend,
have for funds and blah, blah, blah.
yeah, they don't spend all that often, but they do.
Right,
Like, I believe that this month we had $2,200 in tree trimming.
Yeah.
So are all of those expenses, the signs, the committee members pay? Are all those expenses things that you want to take out of the park, or are there any of those expenses you want to exclude?
I'd say they come from park, correct?
Committee members know.
What's that?
Committee members do know.
Committee members know?
Planning commission, where's that money come from?
You're right. Yep,
Okay.
You're right.
I agree.
Yep,
Okay,
you're right.
so,
I didn't think of that, but you're right.
yeah, so we just, that would be clarifying. So
Right.
like, we'll do tree trimming and we'll do anything like
Equipment,
signs.
signs, equipment.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you really use any equipment, so.
We got lawnmower coming.
Oh,
We
well,
pay
that
for-
one.
Yeah, we pay for that. We're
Yeah.
paying for that.
Yeah, that one will take the lawnmower, yes. So lawnmower,
And a trailer too.
the trailer. Or, yeah, however that was decided, I can't remember now.
We provide the truck, they provide the trailer and mower, correct?
And then,
And if there's a trade-in value on the trailer or somebody buys it outright, that money goes back into the park.
Correct.
okay,
And that was done.
Yeah,
That was done. So we'd have to show
that's right.
that receipt for that trailer to go into the park fund.
Okay,
To raise it up.
I'll work with Stephanie and then
Okay.
I'll ask her to come up with some type of report and then.
Very good.
we'll do that.
Working with you.
Yeah, and then Steve too.
Anything else, Steve?
I don't know if you passed the motion.
I
We did
have
not.
motion carries.
Motion and a second, but we did not pass the
Greg
motion.
Clark,
Any further
Jason,
discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign, motion carries.
All right, the other thing I have is that we have a donation coming from an individual called Pat Albrecht, lives in 6214 Norwood, Oregon. We are going to send him a thank you note. He's donating a really nice sign that's going to indicate where the easement path is from Raven Oaks down into the park. And he's going to install it. And we'll be sending a thank you note for that.
Is that the one off of Awani Court then? Where would that path be?
Yes.
Off of Knollwood.
Norwood.
I don't know where that entrance is. So, yeah,
That's why the reason.
that's why it's there. That's right.
Yeah, right. The other thing is, we will not have another park meeting until April. I'm pretty sure I can drive by then. For the drive, so that's when our next park meeting will be. And we are going to start our neighborhood park meetings again. Where we did, Raven Oaks was the first one, and then this whole crap came in. place.
Yep.
So we suspended that, so
Yep.
hopefully try to start that again this spring.
Good. Very good.
That's all I got.
All right, thank you. Anybody got any questions for Steve? Thanks, Steve, and good luck with your surgery, sir.
Thank you.
Plan Commission. Arlen?
We had two public hearings, one for John Hageman, and he didn't show up, so we tabled that one. The other one was Daniel Marshall, which was okay. All he was doing is changing, squaring off his lot, in which we've taken care of that. We worked on the DDR. We talked about rural development, the 66-foot right of way for 4 homes. On this dark blue map, and the land use or the RH land, the ordinance. And we were wondering, do we want development? Do we not want development? Do we want our rural atmosphere? What's the board think about all this? I mean, the planning commission's got different ways to go, but it's got to be what the board likes too. I mean, give us a.
Well, Brian did send a letter with options. And I think the board needs to look at that. And I think next month, the board needs to provide the plan commission with their thoughts and ideas. What everybody wants, and I think the best way to probably handle it is to write it down on a piece of paper. You don't put your name on it if you don't want to, just as a board member, and we give that to the planning commission, what we would like to see. I think that's, to me, that's a better route than sitting here saying, you know, are we gonna vote on more development? Are we gonna vote on this? Are we gonna vote on that? I think people need to take some time and look at all them options that Brian sent forward and write down all your thoughts and concerns, and let's get that to the planning commission so they can start moving forward. Well, that's my thoughts. Kate?
Okay, so I talked to a couple people about this, and what do we mean by development? I don't think anybody even knows how to answer that question. Do we mean one house here and there? Do we mean another nicely placed subdivision? I think at some point, the townspeople, we need to find out what they, you know, Tim and I chatted a little bit because he was on that vision where they had all these people from the town, from all different ideas that talked about what they wanted. I don't think we even know think I know, and then when I've had discussions, it's like, I don't even think we know what questions to ask, much less how to answer them.
Well, I mean, if you look at the survey we had and you look at that vision statement, development is bottom of the line. People don't want it.
But do they want their taxes to go up?
Well,
So that's, I mean, that's the other question.
well,
I mean, do we do a referendum and say, do you want your taxes to come up, or would you rather have a nice subdivision that would help with that? Or some of these places where people were told they had splits?
I don't know what the right answer is.
Right.
And that's why I think everybody needs to think about it, and write down what they think.
That's what Pam was asking. We don't, I mean, we don't know
Right.
where to run from here. You know, unless we know what the board kind of wants to put us in this line or this line, you know.
I mean, you can lay everything out and do another survey. That's an option. You know, I guess I'd be curious to what each board member has to say. But I think it's better to have it on writing than it is to sit here tonight and try to think of all of it at once. Nobody's had enough time to think about that. The question is out there now, and I think it needs to be addressed. And everybody's gonna have their own opinion, their own mind on how they want to do it, and what they want to do, you know?
What are they trying to really, I know they're trying to make us transfer of development rights. And you're asking, are we gonna go further than that or not, not that or further, or don't know?
I think right now it's a don't know, do it wrong. I think from the meetings I've attended, I think transfer development rights is gonna be a go. And I think we're foolish not to approve that. I don't think it's gonna grow. It's not gonna be enough to help offset our taxes in the town of Oregon, just by transfer development rights.
I don't think we can say yes to TDRs until we decide what we're gonna do with those other blue areas. Are we gonna keep that there or take it away from them?
Then you're gonna have to start listening in order what you want to discuss first. And they've been talking about TDR, and I think that'd be the fastest and easiest thing to get through.
Right, but I don't think anybody really understands it 100%, including the planning commission. I mean, we've got a couple planning commission people here. How do you feel?
I'll just state the obvious, say it's complicated.
Yes.
I appreciate you, especially Wayne, you pointing out that you got to think this over and let us know instead of just shoot from the hip. And I appreciate that because we've been studying it for months and months. And we talk about such things as the Lyman Anderson. Unless you guys can learn about what that means, you won't be able to answer our question about whether we should modify it or clarify it or throw it away. It's just so complicated. Whatever you can do to tell us we're way out of line, or just keep going, plan commission, and tell us what you think, that would be helpful. Because we're kind of not chasing our tails, we're making slow progress, but what if we're going in the wrong direction and you folks have a completely different idea?
Right.
That's what we're looking for, I think. If I may speak for the whole commission. Arlen, is that about right?
It is. And as far as these old maps, we had talked about these and the ordinance. And I think the planning commission kind of thinks that that was old stuff. It's gone. We're going forward. We want nothing to do with them maps now.
We can't just get rid of those rights from those people. We have to talk to each and every one of
We
them.
didn't do it. It got way back. 94, it was discontinued back then. We're bringing it up now. But
I'm talking about the blue areas on the map that I was here
and what
when,
year was that?
Jennifer, I was here with you and,
No, the blue areas have development rights right now. I think you're confusing RH with the blue areas. The blue areas have rights right now. And the RH ones were the ones that were taken away and then we're added.
Now, the
Yeah.
blue areas you say have rates right now?
They do.
And I don't think I understood that from planning commission.
I didn't hear.
No.
Yes, they have rights right now.
You mean they can go out and build a house right now out there?
Yes,
I
and I'm
don't-
pretty sure that was
I don't-
confirmed that day by Brian Standing as well.
yes.
By who?
Brian Standing from the Dane County. He came and did that presentation. That was a question that
We
was
were
asked.
there, and I don't think that's what I heard.
Heard a lot. I'm not
Right,
gonna.
yeah,
This map don't have nothing for blue.
Tim, I think they're right. I think it's a
Them
complicated
blueberry?
problem.
That's blue, okay.
I think no matter what anybody does, it needs to be taken time and thought through clearly. Because you're looking on changing rules and ordinances that have been out there for many of years. And it has a huge financial impact on a lot of residents. RH properties, all the way to your farm properties, everything in between. It's it's hard to change something that has been set in stone for so many years. And every other township is more or less following ship, township to township, everybody's the same. You're 35 for a split. A lot of them do have where you can transfer your development rates around, but not very many of them are talking about, eliminating and adding more and doing this and that. It's, and I'm sure, there's just a lot of value to these properties and these development rights. It's not just, I know a little bit about the RH thing just from what I've heard, and my understanding, the board came in 2007 and rescinded that or something, or changed it. 12. The problem is there, Tim, in Arlen, your planning commission, how far do you want to go back to say, well, this person used to be able to develop? I think when that rule was set in place, whatever was done at that point in time should have stayed set in stone all the way forward. It's my opinion.
if I remember right, Arlen and Kim, both on the planning committee. This map was one that county had that we didn't even know they had, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the map, but there is two maps. There's a county map.
Right, but we
Yeah.
we didn't know that map even existed. So I don't think that this map was okayed by the town board or the planning commission.
So the plan commission wanted to use the blue map.
Is this the blue map you're talking about? No,
No, that map right there, those are the ones, no. The blue map is, I can't get into my computer here, it would take me a minute, but I can do that if you want me to.
I was just doing that. Has everybody had a chance to listen to the audio from 2012 where the ordinance was put in, where Brian Duffin is talking about, we didn't want to take this away, we want to keep it the same? Has everybody listened to that? It's important to listen to it before you
What
make your
ordinance, John?
decision.
82.
82.
I figure you can all listen to it all. You should all listen to it if you haven't.
Arlen, you got a comment?
Yeah, we have a lot of work ahead of us. And right now, just the discussion that you're having here is kind of showing that we need to be getting a draft to you as to what is being proposed. We need a draft ourselves to know where we're going. We also, and Supervisor, the Arlen with an E, is rightly pointing out that we just received some new information, the map, and also a copy of what was proposed to the county and what was passed as an ordinance by this board in 2012. It is a law. And we have a lot of discussion ahead of us to be making concrete proposals and that can come back to you and be good, solid plan to go forward. I think I'm hoping that we can be moving quickly to that and getting something here. You have a policy issue because you're in charge of taxes and how it's generated. And that is directly related to the number of new housing units that we have, or the state changing the state law, or. 4. So if you have goals that have to do with the your fiscal responsibility that can be addressed in the comprehensive plan, I would love to hear that. But as far as the nitpick of the details, I think we need to be getting it written and getting it to you, and I hope we're heading towards that. Would you agree, Arlen?
Okay, so here's the map that Plan Commission wants to use. And these are the dark blue areas that we are discussing. And so currently, anyone who's in these dark blue areas has the ability to split into 1 per 2 acres. So most of these, like this right here, this area 3, there are no development in that area. There's a house per every 2 acres. But there are some properties, some parcels that are on the outside of the subdivision that could potentially redivide. And that occurs in a couple of these different areas. So it's kind of hard to photocopy, but like you can see here, this would be Raven Oaks here, and you can see these 4 lots right here. They are in the dark blue. They may never subdivide, but they are in dark blue and they could potentially subdivide. So that is item number 7, I believe.
Are them 4 lots owned by one person?
No. Oh, I guess I can't say that for sure, but I believe they're all owned by different people.
Okay, so I have a question.
Yeah.
Are they in the subdivision?
They're not.
Okay.
They're
Because
not.
you cannot subdivide a subdivision. For our,
Subdivide.
so if you have a person in a subdivision that has a 2-acre lot, you cannot make 2 1-acre lots out of that piece of property.
You could not, because we have a 2-acre lot minimum, but you
Oh.
also could not, like, for example, there was,
Because we went to,
yes,
this town board went to
Yes.
court on a
Yes.
subdivision over that. Cost this town board, this town a lot of money.
I don't know, that particular one you're talking about, I know of it vaguely. That was, there's, each subdivision has covenants. And within covenants, they say you cannot subdivide it. And I cannot remember the neighborhood, it was over on Wesley.
It was over.
Yeah. Yeah. So they actually, though, we looked that up, they actually did subdivide that lot. Because we saw that when we were going through this.
Because the same owner who still owns that lot, he doesn't put another house on it, so.
Right, but it's actually subdivided out and so we were commenting on that. Because we thought they couldn't subdivide it, but they did, but there's never been another building put on there. Because I believe that the subdivision covenants prevented that from happening. I don't know that, we don't have anything to do with subdivision covenants. We might look at them when they're going into it, but we don't enforce it. It's like if someone puts up a shed, we're not going in there and saying tear it down. But with that particular one, the subdivision said, no, you cannot. You have to adhere to it. And when you sell a property or buy a property, usually that's included in the sale, if a subdivision has it. Sometimes those subdivision rules will go away after a certain period of time. So I can't say, we have a lot of old subdivisions, so like Kate, I don't know, like if your subdivision still has.
They had some, but they don't have them anymore.
Okay. So it, like, for example, in this one, there's this lot up here. And that's exactly what I have a question mark by it. I don't know if that lot could subdivide again or not. It's bigger than 4 acres, but it's in the subdivision. But these are what he's saying on number 7, that Brian Duffin is saying on number 7. This is correcting the mapping error. So I think what he's saying without him being here is we would take these 4 and put them in exclusive ag and get them out of rural development. And so my eyesight's so bad that I can't see where this is at. But these would be a couple more lots that are in that dark blue area that are larger than 4 acres. Now, most of these probably would never really subdivide
Well,
again
that's, yeah, that
because
one's Crestwood, so 9 and 8 and 7 are at Crestwood.
I
I thought
think
are
these
probably
are
already
pretty big
lots.
houses and they're gonna be valuable with the land that they're on. I don't know why they would want another house.
That's not for us to say no.
Sure, and this one, this particular subdivision, there's no lots over 4 acres. And this one either. Here's. This one's back here. These two are the ones that are near Mulligan's. I think these are, this one's for sale.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't, they're probably gonna go into the village. Here's another one. These ones are deed restricted. Oh, this is a big one off of the Glenway. And again, to your point, Fred, this would be in that, I don't know if this is a subdivision that's off of Glenway, it's that Glenway Court.
Glenway Circle.
Yeah, Glenway Circle. So I don't know if they would have some covenants
Sure.
in that subdivision that would prevent 11 from, or that 11 would ever really want to subdivide because it would probably take away from.
There again, how would you get a driveway in that?
And that's another thing. How would you get, and so some of this would just
33.
be,
You don't have the footage to get a driveway through there.
but if we did the 66, if we pass the 66-foot rule, are we gonna pass it for rural development? Because if we pass that, that would mean that you could share a driveway.
I guess is their driveway go right through their front yard. Why would- To get back there. Just
And
to-
my-
just to-
Right.
Just a guess.
No.
Right, if that's the house right there,
Mhm.
yeah, you're probably right. You're probably exactly right. So this probably would never. This is over, I think, where the horses, that horse path is.
This one knows, yeah, this is
There's that,
it's Heather Lane.
yeah, that these are very unique properties because, and I would almost imagine that all these properties would be like, they would have some sort of easement or some subdivision covenants that would prevent them because they all jointly own, it's like a horse walking path. I'm not sure about these ones right here. So this is what he's saying when he's saying correcting the errors is taking these ones that I've identified out. And I guess the question to you would be is, do you want to take these out or do you want to leave them as is? If we take them out, the county, Brian Standing has recommended that we would have an open house and specifically address these and the people around them to let them know. Or we leave it as is.
You're telling things, all of them when you just showed us. But how could you legally, I mean, can you just, can't really take them away if somebody's knows that they're available for development, we can't, I don't know how the board can just take it away from them. I mean, it's there.
I think the county did is what happened, right?
No, we designed these. I mean,
Okay.
not you guys, but someone did this map at some point in time and they included these properties. So when we say there's rural development available, it's these properties that could potentially have it, but they may never.
But I don't know how a board could take them rights away from somebody either.
I
What's the
think-
county say? What does Ryan Standing say about these lots?
I mean, I think he said, yes, you can develop on them. And he says that if you're gonna take it away or you're gonna do something, you better have outreach. Some of these people might say, I don't ever want my
Right.
land to be developed. So go ahead, deed restrict me. You know, or put some sort of other kind of, you could make anything in your land use plan, such as maybe they could have one house. You know, some of these are kind of larger lots that might be, let's see, like this is 9 acres. Maybe you'd say, kind of like they did with the RH property, maybe you'd say, we don't really want an additional 3 houses on there because you have to have 2 acres minimum, right? So maybe we say all of these properties identified can have one more split. I don't know.
I think that one is lotted out already. It's lot 3. Maybe it's already got 2 other lots.
So can these lots currently be chopped in half or no?
It would, like Fred was saying, I do not know if there are subdivision covenants that would prevent it. So like he said, there's a lot 3. This is a CSM. I doubt that this would be under covenants because there's a CSM for it. But this one here for lot 22, that may be under a plat map. That may have covenants under it. I just don't know. CSMs typically, but it could have covenants. I don't know. That it would be something we'd have to ask Brian Standing because that would get filed with the Register of Deeds.
Wayne, I talked to Brian and Jennifer a little bit on it. I was kind of surprised the township does not know how many, they're talking to these transfer development rights. Nobody knows how many the township even has. And I'm just kind of surprised nobody's ever logged that and kept track of it. And didn't know if that's something we should do going forward, maybe. I mean, as people get older, I mean, I think it's gonna be more and more headaches and more problems as the elderly people pass away and Dane County stuff happens.
But we don't have transfer development rights yet.
No, but I'm just saying the ownership of development rights.
Ownership.
There's
Right.
no record of it in the township whatsoever. I mean, you're pending on what Dane County's doing for
Right.
you,
Right, Dane County's done our work.
but I guess you trust Dane County.
I guess help me out here. Maybe what we need to move forward is we get these maps together. We as a board write down our thoughts and suggestions and everything, and we have a joint meeting with the Plan Commission and Brian Standing and see what we can do moving forward. I don't know.
Brian Standing, I talked to him. He was unable to
Right,
provide anything for the meeting tonight, but he is going to work on a draft. So that will help to have something in writing. And he is more than welcome. He will come back. He will answer any of your questions. He can probably give you more insight because
Right, right.
I am personally not.
Right.
And we have to remember that anything we're doing also goes through Dane County. So
Right.
like, we can't work in this vacuum either.
and that's why I think
So
we
let's
need
get
to,
him here.
we need to know what the county will let us do, I think, before the Plan Commission can really move forward either. I think we have to know what Dane County will let us do to know what we can do
Are you talking just on this RR stuff?
No, on everything.
Everything?
on everything, I mean, I've attended some of the meetings.
This is our plan, not Dane County's plan.
Oh, hey, Sharon.
I'm sorry.
No,
You
no,
weren't
go
supposed,
ahead,
you
go
weren't
ahead.
supposed to hear that.
I think that's true. I think that's
But,
true.
but
that
we
it's
gotta
Dane
follow
County.
Dane County's rules too. I mean, Dane County's gotta approve it.
They do have to approve it, and we also have to get approval from the village of
Yeah.
Oregon. We have to have approval from the city of Fitchburg. We have to have
Right.
approval from those two entities as well. And I think, Sharon, to your point, not that we want Dane County to develop our plan. I think that we have to have Dane County implement our plan. So we have to make sure anything we're putting in there is something that the county can implement.
Right.
Not that we want them to write it, but I agree with you, Sharon, and I would say if there are particular issues, maybe we don't use Brian Standing on that issue. Maybe we go out and we hire MSA or some other firm to help us if there's something that we would rather kind of know what we could do, so we I'm not gonna say stand up to Dane County, but
I mean, like, it is our
some
plan,
advice.
but Dane County has to approve our plan.
They do.
So we need to know that Dane County is gonna follow along with what we're gonna present. And not us just put something together and Dane County throw it out. I think we gotta work together a little bit, even though it's our plan, we gotta work together so we know they're gonna approve it. That's my feeling. Arlen?
That's a little bit why we have Brian Standing writing it. We should be, by the time he gets it penned with all the right dots and commas in that, and it fits the policy that we want, as Sharon says, then they should be, we should be confident that they will adopt it. also be what Brian Standing says is that the county does not have a comprehensive plan in itself. It adopts a comprehensive plan from every town. That becomes the county comprehensive plan. So they don't have a comprehensive plan that's above and beyond the towns. The towns create it and the county adopts it. So we have, it is, so having our plan, we should be moving forward with what we want.
I think the county is a whole lot easier to work with now than it was
It is,
a few years
it
back.
is, yes. Well, I'm open to suggestions. I don't have the answer. Arlen?
Want to just repeat that I think we're going to be moving toward getting a plan that you can be reacting to that has a listing of the changes and the impacts that are on there. Right now, things are fuzzy because they're not solidly written down and approved.
So you want us to wait until you come back to us again? Is that what you're saying? I was under the impression that you guys wanted to hear from us board. But now I'm hearing from Arlen like you don't want to hear from the board. You want to present us with something first.
You have something, well, I think there's a little bit of both. You're not dealing with all the issues, but you do have important issues that we would like to hear from you on your financial status and what, in the big part of role that development plays in your taxation policy. If you have something real solid on that, that can be brought into that, I think that would be wonderful. And I think the rest of it, we need to be getting something solid and written to you as well. So if you as a board has a burning issue, let's hear about it now.
Well, I mean, development ain't gonna happen overnight to help our tax situation. That's just not gonna happen. It's obvious that we're gonna have to borrow money to raise the taxes and raise our levy. Am I saying that right, Jennifer?
Yes.
And we're probably gonna have to do that. I mean, I signed a check tonight for the Oregon Fire and EMS for $136,000. That might be something that we look at, borrow money for on a yearly basis to help increase our taxes. I mean, that amount could go towards our roads. Instead of having 100,000, we'd have 200,000. That's the only easy solution. I'm not saying it's an easy solution. That's one solution to it. We're definitely gonna have to do something if we're gonna keep up with our roads in the near future.
And have we ever talked about any different ways of funding fire department? You know, because it keeps going up and the way the tax levy is, you know, I'm gonna just, I was talking at the senior center about, don't expect, you know, we have a 2-year contract with you, but don't expect us to do it again because we very well might not be able to afford it, just as you're thinking about this new facility. And then Martin Shanks talked to me afterwards and he said, you know, because you're annexing more stuff, we're getting less to tax.
Right.
And he said there is something called an intergovernmental agreement that with some of the properties that they annex, they would share some of the taxes. He said it's pretty complicated, but it's not impossible. So I'm going to pursue that and have Jennifer, who knows more about it than I would understand, talk to Martin. And this is something in the future.
Right.
But at least I let them know, you know, this is a concern. And it also is the same way for the fire department.
I think Wayne is right. If we should get the plan commission, board, and Brian Standing here, all at once, and go from there.
Wasn't the last time we did it, wasn't that biased? That wasn't in person, was it not?
You were on
We
Zoom.
want to do
You
it.
were on Zoom, but it was here. Yeah.
If you guys are that close to kind of finishing it up, is it worth looking at what they have? Let us have all time to think about it and then maybe try to set up that meeting or?
There's no.
Are you that
drafts
close
yet.
to being
There's no
finished up?
dra- Oh, I
There's
thought
no
they were
drafts
closer
yet.
than
No,
that.
no, no.
There's nothing close to finishing up.
They're just talking about it.
Oh,
So
okay.
they're kind of looking to do the drafts. They'd like some direction. But what Brian Standing said is he said he could just start writing the drafts and then turn the drafts over to you guys and then you could look at them and then.
I want to help
all
get
of your
things
Input.
moving so that we can
It's
get this
hard with
done.
Brian standing. I will just take a note because he has a full-time job at the county. So
Right.
we're paying less of a rate to use
Right.
him, but we have to operate on his timetable.
I get, my
So
question is, what, sorry, Sharon.
No, no.
My question is, I mean, the plans are, there's already a comprehensive plan out there. So what huge major changes are we making across the board? Are we trying to revamp the whole thing? Or I thought there was just a couple little changes that was looking at happening.
We went through a lot of different changes.
Well, number one, the county changed all, what do you call it, the abbreviations, the
They
farmland,
updated their zoning.
yeah,
Warnings.
all that stuff has changed. So it started out just kind of revamping that comprehensive plan because it has to be done every 10 years, it's supposed to be done every 10 years. And we're behind the 8 ball. It's,
We've done in 2007.
Yeah,
And we
So-
started in 2017 to work on it.
and the COVID didn't help. But as far as the plan commission goes, I want, there's three of you here. I want to do what I can do to help you guys get this thing moving forward. Whatever I can do, you guys need to tell me. And I thought first step was, when I go to the meetings, I keep hearing, you want to hear from the board. We want to hear from the board. So that's why I thought if every board member could put something together, give it to the plan commission, that's our start. But from there forward, I don't know if you're going to, if the plan commission could break into sections and somebody works on this and somebody works on that, just try to speed it up. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. But it's taken a long time to get things accomplished. And, you know, I feel, I wish we could move it faster. I want to do it right. You know, I want to do it right. And I know it's going to get done right. But when I go to the meetings, I hear, we want to know what the board's input is. We want to hear from the board. And I think I'm telling the board now, this is what we got to do. And I expect board members to follow through. And like Kate said, are we gonna take these properties away? Put that in there. That's not something we should discuss tonight. I think it needs to be something that, you know, it's a small survey of the board to put your thoughts, comments, suggestions together, and we present it to the plan commission, and we move forward from there. And you don't have to write your name on it. You can type it so we don't know who's who. And I'll present it. I don't care.
Wayne, do you want to go over this list of 8 from Brian Duffin and just get from the board members now? Or would you rather have them use this list of 8 to write their comments? So then at least, because the list of 8,
It's in this packet,
yeah, it's on page
So-
50 and 51.
so they
There's-
have it.
They do.
So they can take that home and look at it and go from there.
So like the first one would be TDR.
What page is it on?
Page 50.
50.
So like, if the board,
I remember
so,
reading it, yeah.
yeah, so if the board wanted TDR, maybe that's the first one that, and then number 2 would be that 66-foot easement, so there'd be 4 lots that come off of one easement, that would be something. Then there's the clarifying the Lyman Anderson Road. Now, this is where I have a question, because it talks about ownership, and that's a really, this is where we're asking the county to apply this Lyman Anderson rule, and we need to clarify because deeds are in all sorts of different names. So how do we clarify ownership? What are you using to apply that? But that would be something else somebody would want to look at. And to that point, I guess my other question would be, is it ownership as of 94? Or if a property owner acquires more property, would it apply to them as well? They can move their splits to any property that they own, whether they owned it in 94 or later. So that would be another
Can I
one.
answer that?
Yeah,
In 94, the land had to be 35 acres or more. But if they had 85 or say another 35 over here, Brian Standing, he counts up their splits by this and then by this. And our Lyman Anderson rule says they should be together. You take them splits, you got 5 here and you got 5 here, you got 10. Otherwise, you got 5 here, you got 4 here, you got 9, you know.
It's adding all the property owners
I know,
together.
and
And-
I totally get that.
And
but
that's
the-
what we did. So I think we need to continue with that.
I
program.
understand that, but I think what we need to do is we're depending on the county to apply that. And we understand what ownership means, but what I'm saying is all of these properties do not necessarily are under the same ownership. One might be under Mark O'Brien and another one might be under Mark and, yes, O'Brien.
I see.
They're not all under the same name.
Or
So
a
I,
trust.
they can be under trust. Like I can
Yes.
say, for example, like Dale Secker, he
Yes.
came in and he was doing some properties and he was overwhelmed because he said, my properties are under all these different names.
Sure.
So that's where we need to, that's where I think he's not adding them together because he doesn't necessarily know that they're the same ownership.
Right. I see.
They got the owners as of 94.
Yes, so how we do it, and like if
Right.
you go and you, let's say you, I don't know, you might do a different deed if you take out a loan or something. We have, I think we need to clarify. I know what you guys want to do. We have to figure out a way how the county can do that.
So what happens if you're, okay, so in 94, your parents owned a piece of property,
Yes,
okay, and now it's 2010 or 2022.
right,
And both of your parents are deceased,
yes.
but they left that piece of property in your name. Does it go to 22 or does it go to 94? Because it was in your family in 94. How do you solve that problem?
So then you'd have to figure out a way how you're going to, how do you track that?
How do you
Or
track
what's-
that?
How do you do that? And we need the county to help us because as a township, we can't do that. Like I don't have the records here in the office. So
That's where I brought up, Fred, if we shouldn't start making a spreadsheet now or something and start tracking each one of these development rights,
As
simply
we
for
know,
that reason.
This
And there's gonna be
township
other
is
family
involved.
members out there that think they have one, there's gonna be, I run into this in Rutland on an 8-acre patch. You know, you're fighting with, the township says you have them, Dane County says you don't. Everybody everybody around says, yeah, it's there, it's yours, and the county is misplaced or they're I just think it'd be good to start, you know, even if we can't get it 100% current, we can at least start it and move forward.
And to your point, when they do a density study, the county does a density study, they send us their results. And we can always, and maybe we just slow that up a little bit and we take that results back here. And if we think it's wrong, we can tell the county it's wrong. So there is a step where the town can sort of override the county. We haven't done that in the past, but that is,
A perfect example would be like O'Brien Properties, that
yes,
one's in Mark and Dan's and one's in Mark and Maryland.
one's in a
Right.
trust,
Right,
they're all different.
right.
So.
So that would catch it there.
Right, so how we would need to do that. And then, so then the next one would be the rural development. So if you guys could jot down your answers, then
Yep.
we eliminate the policy 1F, the rescind ordinance 82, the blue areas, if you want to take all those blue areas out, and then the commercial zone.
So use this for a guide and then whatever you else want to add. Not just this, it's what's in your mind and what your thoughts are.
Also look at the comprehensive plan book for reference. Because there are some, the Lyman Anderson rule has a couple pages that are there, and see if it's clear enough to you or it needs to be revised.
So we
want
need,
your ex-wife from 1994, whose name was on the property then, to now have development rights in 2022. It's very complicated.
Can you repeat that, Tim?
I said, do you want your ex-wife's name in 2022 on those development rights when her name was on the property back in 1994, but then you got divorced? There's a lot of changes in ownership that take place over the years that might not give the results you're thinking they're going to get. Was it in the family? Wasn't it in the family? There's a lot of complications putting the trust things that I'm not equipped to answer.
The item number 4 is a lot to do with your policy, the town board policy, as far as what taxes growth that would be most helpful to getting that information.
Yep.
Your opinions, I should say.
So we meet again in 3 weeks. Yes. We can discuss then whether we're gonna have I think we still need to have a joint committee meeting after people fill this paperwork out. So if you get to the office before the next meeting, we don't have to be there by the next meeting because the planning commission meets. Well, no, after March, in March.
A week from Tuesday.
So
Well,
truthfully, the planning commission doesn't need till their meeting, so really you have like 5-6 weeks to get done.
so I'll throw another one.
15th, I think we're meeting next week.
We have an election in April. We know that we're gonna have one new board member. So do we wait until May? Because in a month and a half, we're gonna have a totally different board. Not totally different, but we're gonna have a different board than what we are having today in February.
And the planning commission is probably going to change.
And the planning commission could change too.
My opinion would be is we just move forward with who's here now, with the questions and the answers that they have, and then we just continue to move forward. And if new members come on and they have a particular subject, then they can hear them at that time. But I think to take everyone who's here now, and who's on that committee, because otherwise, it would just, no, I agree with you, but it's just, it would get too late.
Throwing it out there.
Why he said March, I'm not sure why. And I think what Wayne's referring to is that in Brian's email, he said, please let us know by March 15th. So I'm not sure.
And we won't be done with that.
Right. So I know Brian Standing's working on the draft. So the draft, along with maybe the comments from each board member on the 8 items. And then having a joint meeting.
I think he said the 15th because that's the date for the plan commission's March.
Okay,
That's the third Tuesday of the month.
okay,
I think that's what he had in mind.
okay.
I understand the board situation, and it's only a few weeks gonna be off from the planning commission. So we could have a joint meeting in March. And we see who gets on the board in April. And I guess they can come to a planning commission meeting in April and get caught up. Or if we just start it over again in April, let this new board member, whatever it is, and fill that paperwork out then too.
It's too hard.
That's too hard.
Yes.
I hear you.
I came in the middle of drafting the original comprehensive plan. And it was, and still is, very confusing because I didn't see it from beginning to end. And I would hope that a new board member coming on, he can be there, he or she can be there and be a part of the plan commission. But I really truly believe we have to keep everybody that's there right now until we get a new comprehensive plan. It's too confusing and too complicated.
So yeah, we'll move forward with what we got planned here, get it together. We'll make the planning commission board meeting together next month. But I'm gonna need all these people's suggestions at least a week before the plan commission meets. So that they can get out to the plan commission, so they're not looking at just that night. I don't like it when people just come in that night and see it. I'd rather have them some time to look at it. So if, when you meet in March?
15th.
15th.
So if I could have them by the 8th.
Can I ask a question
Yes.
of the town board members? Since some of you, besides Arlen and Wayne, that go to the meetings, the other 3 of you, will it be hard for you to answer these 8 bullet points without asking other questions? Or you feel pretty confident? Because what I'm also thinking, do you want to ask questions from Brian Standing and Brian Duffin at this joint meeting before you answer the questions? Because it seems,
I met with Brian on
Okay.
these questions
and
already.
so you're confident, you're
I'm fine.
good.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
fine. I've already,
Good.
yeah.
Okay,
But you learned a lot by doing that.
Yeah, almost definitely.
you know, and that's what I'm thinking. That's. could do too.
Yeah, that's something, and I think we had that set up at the last meeting. Brian was
Brian
actually.
was there to do that.
Yeah, so that's why I want to ask you so that, you know, they feel comfortable answering these questions.
Well,
So we're not,
they can also call you or call a planning commission member and get advice too.
Sure,
I
sure.
shouldn't say advice, but get clarified.
Yes,
That's
yes,
a thought too.
yes. So,
I mean, we got some very knowledgeable people that they can rely on.
I just
you
don't
guys
want to put
comfortable with
anyone
that?
on the spot.
They are
Okay,
comfortable.
perfect, perfect. Everyone's comfortable. That's great. So I'll reach out to Brian
Let's talk about some other stuff.
Standing and I'll reach out to Brian Duffin. And would you like to try to do that joint meeting on the night, the 15th?
So that's why I like to have everything here at the latest, the 8th, so I can get it put together, get the planning commission members by the 10th or 11th. So that they can see what the board is thinking before our joint meeting. Does that sound like a plan that would work? Everybody think that's the right route to go? I'm hearing from board members, yes, planning commission members.
Like, having been through this for a long time, it might not too, but we appreciate any input and additional thoughts you guys have.
Well, I want to start trying to push this through and get things going. I think this is a start.
If you get that packet, that letter from Brian Standing is on 52 to
Yep.
55. So you can have that too,
Yep.
to help you answer it.
Okay. 18 Anderson Farm Park report. Has anybody got anything?
Yeah,
Steve?
I did attend the annual meeting that Dane County had with Anderson Park individuals. And Anderson Park ATF board members and the county would like to say thank you to the board, town board, for the cooperation they've had since Anderson Park began. We really appreciate the working relationship that they have with you people. That's what I wanted to pass on. Okay.
Mowing and plowing out there now?
I would hear that.
We all done mowing and plowing snow and stuff out there now?
Yes,
We're not,
it's made very clear that we appreciate what we've done, but the county's taking on the mowing and the plow and the plow.
okay, so we don't do that.
And everything's open and running right now, right? The dog park.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Dog park has been very successful.
19 council report. I entered that for Public Works. I don't have much to report other than snow plowing's been going well. We've had the help and things have went really well. Any complaints?
No complaints. I would just say that Wayne, you mentioned to me today, just so that you can, is that there are some additional dollars out there for some road work.
Oh,
We're not quite sure how we qualify, but Wayne, we're gonna meet with,
I'm meeting with, you guys all got that email from Doug Cena? Him and I are meeting tomorrow to see if there is anything else.
might help our. road
Might help
budget.
us, yep. Tort, Fred, you got anything?
Oh, yeah, so one of our employees is still out. Tried to work and couldn't, so he's still out. Talked to Lori today and they're doing fine without the fourth employee. Just worried about the health and get him back healthy, so other than that, everything, when I talked to Lori, everything's going well. The punch card sales has slowed down after the first of the year, so but other than that, everything's good.
Senior Center, Kate?
Nothing much other than they'll be planning a little bit more now because they found the library is gonna go to Keller Alpine for sure.
It is for sure.
Yeah. But it's,
So the senior center is gonna stay in that parking lot, but probably be torn down.
the library's gonna go over the school block, right across from the food pantry. Nothing with the assessors report,
We do not
Jennifer,
have anything else.
bill inspection services.
I think there's fine.
one on Hillcrest, 1045. You know that shed that he's, how big the shed he's putting up there?
I got no idea. I can ask
How
the
many
building
sheds?
inspector.
Can you put on a 20 acre piece? Already. Added on to that big shed one.
I have no idea.
That's the goods. Right,
Horse place?
that's the horse.
It is a horse place.
I don't know why it said Minger on the, for owner. That's his address.
I can ask, I can look into it.
Yeah, I have no idea. Board communications, future agenda items. One would be the police service,
Yes,
waste management.
yes.
I mean, is everybody good with two? Garbage pickup, waste management, military? Because I know there's a third one out there, I can't even name it right now, advanced or something, ain't it?
Yes. It is.
But we'll just do the two, I think, waste management.
Wait, the other thing, I finally did meet with Todd on that whole trailer thing. He said you guys went and talked to him. Do we wanna bring that up on the next board meeting or discuss it, or we just caution it, or? I know Abel got some prices on hiring the culverts done. They wanna upgrade the trailer. They don't wanna upgrade it. Dunn wants to keep their trailer and they wanna buy a trailer, which is gonna cost each township $6,000. The problem with that, not that it's a problem, but what we need to keep in mind and for everybody to think about a month, if we buy that trailer, a year from now, they are looking to upgrade that backhoe, a year to 2 years. And it's gonna roughly cost the township about $30,000 to go in with the other 4 townships on that. Abel got a price from Everson's and they were about $5,000 per culvert.
Not including the gravel.
Not, yeah, that was just for the machine itself. Abel's got some numbers, I guess I just wanted to throw some quick numbers and if we wanted to put it on and discuss it more, I know Todd said he'd come, we got a printout with the numbers. I'm kind of torn between I can't believe you can't get somebody cheaper than $5,000.
I called Desmet today.
To who?
Desmet. It's not out of Dayton,
Okay,
because he does a lot of basements and stuff around here.
5,000's really high.
He told me, because Abel told me that price too, I'm
Yeah.
like, that's nuts, I can't believe that.
Oh, yeah.
And he told me that he gets $150 an hour, a minimum 4 hours, so it'd be $600.
You're talking, it sounds like roughly what, 2 hours to put a culvert, or 2 culverts in a 8-hour day?
Yeah. I mean, we used to, when Bob Everson used to put him in, I mean, a couple hours it was done, you know? And I look at when you hire somebody like that, you're also getting a man. And my other concern is that 30 grand is a lot of money to put towards that excavator. It pays for a lot of culverts.
Well, that's 30 grand out over, you gotta figure
Right.
over 10 years.
Sure.
I mean, right now that machine's paid for, correct?
Yeah, I mean, we
Okay,
just
so
pay
it's
that
gonna
as
cost-
maintenance.
And it's 10 years old.
Right.
So now that it's
Right.
paid for, it's gonna cost us 30 grand
Yeah.
for the next 10 years.
Right.
What's it gonna be after that? I don't know.
Right.
The other thing I think we're missing out on, and I don't know how important the truck is. Right now, we're in the hole to Dunn, I believe, for 70 hours of truck and man service. With the trading going back and forth, that Oregon owes Dunn 72 hours or something. You know, and that's something they don't want to work back with us if we get out of this hole. If we get
Really?
out of this hole, they don't want to trade hours back and forth.
They don't.
Well, they're gonna go in with another municipality. They got another municipality that will go in on it with this hole.
Yeah.
We got a bunch of numbers wrote down. I didn't know if you want to put it on next month's agenda or what you want to do, you know, I mean, I guess we should discuss and look at the numbers. I mean, I'm torn, $4,000 a year. Well, yeah, time you figure your maintenance and everything else in there, that's cheap. You know, you and Arlen and Fred, you guys have been on the board way longer than me. What's the value of having them trucks help us gravel roads and shoulder roads and
Oh, it
whatnot?
helps a lot. Oh, it does. I can't believe they want to opt out because we're not gonna go in on the excavator. That just doesn't sound
That's
fair.
because now they're gonna be teaming up with another township.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that's something, I don't know if that's just done and, Todd's done in 2 years, a year.
But,
So I don't
no, I
know.
had two other chairmans that don't want to go in on it. So they must have changed their mind then. That are in on it now, which you know who they are because there's 4 of us that own it. So. And now that was back when we met, which was in November, or December, I don't know when it was.
See, that's.
And I haven't
what-
heard nothing since then.
No, you told me to kind of get together with Todd, then I got sick and it all fell apart, and then I just talked to him, or he called me one day, and I think he brought the numbers up, I think Jennifer's got all them numbers too, kind of comparing how many hours we put on. And the other thing I asked Abel, I said, you got somewhere that we should be using it, we're not gonna put these. I think we averaged about 35 hours a year for an average. The 1 year they had like 50 a lot. I said, you have jobs, is there ditch cleanup that should be done where we're gonna put some hours on this machine? I guess I just threw that out there. I don't know if you guys, I mean, if we're just,
The other thing we kind of think about too, though, if that machine breaks down, it's gonna be a darn expensive repair. I mean, if a hydraulic pump or something goes out on that thing, you're gonna spend a lot of money in a short time.
oh, I agree.
I mean, them things are not cheap to fix. I mean, you know what it costs to
agree.
fix your car, something like that is probably 20 or 30 times more. You
That's what
know,
I said. I'm torn.
I
And I don't know what the warranty is. I mean,
yeah, I just,
you're gonna get most of that under warranty. The big thing is the township trucks and the
right, I just don't like Todd doing that, won't work together. That's, I think that's.
Well,
that's a
and
little-
I don't know if he's just trying to lean harder because
Right.
he'd rather work with, but that's something I can talk to him. I can talk to him and,
But I think that figure from Bob, from Everson, something's wrong there.
from Abel.
Yeah, from what Everson is charging.
Everson's 5,000 a culvert. I mean, that's
something's
just,
wrong.
yeah. For that little machine, that's 2 days worth.
That's
of
over
work.
$1,000 an hour. Yeah, that's true. All right, we'll put on next month's agenda.
I mean, you want me to say something to Rutland and Todd about the trade hours if we decide we're not gonna do this? I mean, that's gonna be a deciding factor, is it not? Or just let it sit and rest, or,
I think we should, I don't know, my feeling is not to do it, but I hate to lose the friendship with Colin Dunn and the trucks, that's the only thing that's, I'm torn about.
You guys
As far as owning that equipment, we can hire what we need done cheaper than we can own that equipment, period. But
It depends on how much-
I don't like the idea of losing the friendship of working back and forth with the trucks. That's, how much is that worth to us? I don't know. I think that's something we need to think about, talk about.
I say we're in the hole with them for 70 hours right now.
Yeah. That's nothing new.
No. I mean, I think.
Like one year, I think when Denise was clerk, I think they billed us for them hours at one time. And I wouldn't approve to pay for it. We'll work them off. Because Kathy's a good one for sending bills on stuff like that. You've seen them, Jennifer.
Yeah, and I did
Yeah.
talk to her because I said, I did ask her that, if she was gonna send me a bill, and she said only if it exceeds a certain amount of money.
What other?
I guess I didn't really understand how she took the hours times what
Right.
to get a certain amount of money. I don't know some of those formulas, so.
What other townships do you work with other than Dunn for the trucks?
Rutland.
Rutland. I mean, I feel
And they
like,
got 2 good trucks and 2 good men. And then that's a lot.
no, and exactly, and I feel I should, or somebody should ask both of them just to clarify before the next meeting. If we decide not to go with this, can we still count on the truck share? I think it needs to be asked to help make our decision.
See, and another thing too, Rutland's gonna get a new board too.
Think this got it before, didn't they?
Well, they're getting a new member come April. So Rutland's thoughts might change in a couple months too. You don't know. So we might better off just kind of sit back for a few months and tell them to hold off. But you can bring some figures and we can look at them, we can talk about it, but I think you're the person to talk to them to say, are you truthfully gonna back out on us if we back out of the excavator?
Well, I think that's just gonna help. Yeah, I'm like you, I'm torn. Is it worth it? Is it not? If you don't have any major breakdown on that and you're sharing trucks back and forth, I think it's probably worth it. I guess I'd like to know what the warranty is on it, the sharing truck issue.
Right.
4,000 is pretty cheap for a machine.
Right. Do that.
So I'm gonna add excavator. Do you want me to put the roads back on there for next month?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay.
And then I just wanted to make you
Boy.
aware,
You don't want me-
we got self-contracting coming again. They want us, remember last year, we have to
Yep.
tell them how much we want. We don't know how much it's going to be. Then they go to bid when they get how much everybody wants. and
Same
then-
as this.
Yes.
When did they gotta have that number by?
So they sent out the, so we're gonna have to decide next month. In March, we're gonna have to decide the amount of money or the amount of salt we need for 2022, 2023.
Certainly can't eat any near as much as we ordered last year, can we?
We usually always order the same every year.
We dropped.
Usually you get
Well,
snow.
we dropped it last year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, how many tons have you went through this year so far?
I'll ask Jennifer that. She has no clue.
I stepped out of that because we
You know.
let the guys take care of that, so if we have to step back.
I asked
in, we can
Abel
do
and-
that.
I usually get the same amount too every year, but I mean, it hasn't, I mean, we're just going through zero this year.
Probably be so. You know,
Well, we have too, but I mean, compared to,
but you start getting some ice storms, we could use a lot of salt fast, you know.
we could, that's why I wondered how quick they need it. Because you said, the other problem is you said you have to take what you order. Okay, if we got 10 loads coming yet from last year, then the building's already full, then you go to.
No, we don't have much come from last year.
Uh,
We always end up taking it. We
So what
always-
happened?
we've never had a point where we've never had to take it. We usually contract like 400,000 and then we do a reserve of 100,000 or 120 or something. 10%.
Usually 10%.
So we've never had an issue yet, you know?
I think it depends on whether or not we want to do an early fill. Like before, like when Denise was here, there'd be an early fill and you'd see in August, you'd see salt. You'd be like, what? Now, this time we've not done the early fill. We've always used our reserve and then just forego the early fill. Because
guessing.
cost goes up every year. So we'd rather take the reserve at a lower cost and do the early fill at a higher.
I'm guessing we've used half of it.
So then it kind of depends on how much sand you start to
Right.
mix with.
Well, Abel, somebody ought to know how much has been brought in, shouldn't they?
And I will find that out. That was one job we gave to Public Works.
But he comes in and has Stephanie do the calling. And I think it should all be done out in the shop. I really do. They can use the phone, keep track of it all out there and know what it is. I don't think it has to be brought in the office.
But
I
I
really
will
don't.
find out how much we've used before next
Okay.
one. I just want to let you guys know. And
Okay.
then I will, if the liquor license looks like a go, I will add that on the agenda as well.
Okay.
If it looks like it doesn't, then.
Anything else? No. But must be more. Rescue plan update.
I have nothing. I included something in there that just said that, not to worry, this won't affect our levy. I would like for the board members to think about how we might want to use the funds. There's all sorts of legislation that says you can use it this way, you can use it that way, you can't. Then I ask, and like Brooklyn, we can't use it for Brooklyn. So, but how would we like to use it? So something just,
And we've got some of the money, right?
yeah, and we've used.
Put in the bank and draw interest until
that's okay. I'm not too
0.5%.
concerned.
clerk's report.
So we completed all the tax collection. Everything's good with the tax collection. And I apologize but what I'd like to start for everyone to look at, it's in your board packet and it was up near where the vouchers were. And it's going to be our budget. And I'm going to try to present each month where we are on our, or not each month, maybe quarterly, or however you guys would like. So our budget is here in this third category, and we could maybe arrange this. We kind of have to eliminate this taxes. Oh, I'm so sorry. Page 14. The taxes, this is kind of it's not accurate because we collect for everyone, so kind of have to do this. But what the really helpful part will be more of what we spend.
Right.
So that will start on page 16. And, we'll have our budget and then what we actually spend. This can be helpful maybe quarterly, maybe every 3 months. I'm gonna just start to put it in there so you guys can look at it and then we can decide if there's a month you wanna talk about it. For example, I could say like the cemetery, when Jason looked at me and said, well, do we have that for the cemetery? Okay, well, the cemetery, we put in $1,000. We haven't spent $1,000, so we put in $1,000. So if we're gonna spend $5,000, we're gonna know that $4,000 is gonna have to get taken out of some other category. And so, we kind of just this will be just a good reference point for us. Whether we put it in every month, I did not unfortunately have a lot of time to spend on this because I was working on a lot of other things, but I at least wanted that to get to you guys so you could just take a look at hopefully what we could get to and maybe figure out how you'd like to. So, and then we have not paid the loans, but next month we'll have our bank loan payments for like the road work and things like that. So that's at the very last page, page 65. Miscellaneous fund. Not,
We have a what is that, contingency? What is that, 20,000? What's that called?
we have fund balance and our fund balance isn't in our budget.
I
So we
understand
have
that.
money that we can use to spend.
Right.
So if we were to say like,
But I didn't know if you had some of the budget that was just kind of miscellaneous.
no, I don't have anything in the budget that's like miscellaneous, but we do have fund balance. So like, if we wanted to get really, really technical and we were gonna do the cemetery, you guys could make a resolution or a motion and say, we're gonna take $4,000 from our savings account essentially, when I
No,
call it
know
fund
that.
balance.
I
and we
knew
could
that
put
was out there.
Yeah, but not in.
So this next payment for 2022, that pays off Bellbrook Road.
Yeah, we'll be done with that. So in March, you'll sign more big checks. That's all right.
So Wayne, on that road thing with Alpine, you just said that was getting paid off. Is that something you guys have a meeting with Brooklyn on then, or is it just everybody kind of sitting here saying we're gonna do it? They want to do it? I've never,
They called me, well, we've never really done this before with anybody else. And she called me though and said that they couldn't do it this year. And then she said, but they want to do it in 23. I said, we couldn't do it this year either. So that's all the talk that's been. They want to do it in 23, and I guess that's what I figured we'd probably do then, I mean, it's bad. And it's best for us to do it when they're gonna do it because we'll both.
no,
get a
I
better
agree. I
price.
didn't know if it was common for them to come to a meeting and
No.
discuss it, or just you guys talk on the phone and it's done. And
Yeah, I mean, we've never had this issue before, and it's about the only road I think we probably share.
We sure have Judd.
Frenchtown,
Judd Road.
Oh yeah, part of Judd Road.
Frenchtown.
Or Frenchtown, we only got from here to door.
Oh, yeah. But all the more on Union too.
What's that?
Union Road
Yeah,
too, but that
yeah.
ain't much further.
Wilford Wentz. I do have one other thing. Dear residents of the town of Oregon, the plant and flowers you sent are just beautiful. Both plant and flowers. Both plant and flowers will remind me of your kindness. Thank you so much, Judy Miller. Her husband, Al Miller, was on the park committee for 10 years. I don't even know. I'm guessing.
Yeah, about that.
So I was gonna ask you, well, let's adjourn the meeting.
So
Got a motion from Fred to adjourn the meeting at 9:08, second from Arlen. Any further discussion? And then all in favor, saying saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. So a while back there's this one guy that died. I don't remember the name. They said he was on the FERC committee.